This is Matt, back with Zach again, finally.
Hello.
Finally back with Midnight Hour. Been honestly desperate to do this. I did all my research, and then the plague hit.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're definitely not alone in this, what do you call it, situation, I guess?
Right.
For sure.
And
having breaks on everything.
Yeah, and having, I think I've mentioned it on the show, but like Kate's got like iffy asthma little issues, so we were kind of like playing it. We were playing it a little safe. But things are easing up. Northport, where we are, just
barely gave a shit to begin with.
Yeah, and now, but I think we had last I checked like 36 people in the whole town. I'm like,
it's been less than 50.
Yeah,
pretty much the whole time.
Drop in the bucket. So
yeah.
I figured most of my friends are all locked down anyway. So.
Yeah. Or at least young enough to not die. So
yeah, young enough to be okay. So here we are.
Which sucks. Be careful. Wash your fucking hands for the love of God.
Stop touching your face in public. It's weird.
Real.
What are you trying to prove?
Don't you hate seeing it? You hate seeing people do it and you're like, you're fucking... You're gonna make 12 monkeys
when they touch their teeth and then like eyes. Like, what are you doing? Ugh. I was making jokes about it. I was talking to Priscilla about like, well, what am I going to do next? Because I'm a teeter on two topics. And I was like, well, I can't, in good health, do plagues. I was thinking about doing plagues.
Yeah.
A little on the nose.
It's a bit on the nose.
Let's see if we make it first.
yeah.
But tonight's topic is vampires.
Vampires coming to get ya.
It's been so long, I forget. I honestly forget what. Because I remember I shot it to you real quick. I was like, we're going to do vampires. I don't remember why I was so excited.
Who cares why? Because vampires are dope is why.
Yeah.
You know?
So
that's all it matters. That's all it takes.
Yeah. I had mentioned somebody else might be on the podcast. They did not show.
They didn't. He, honestly, probably couldn't handle the heat, man. Bringing that fucking... that sick, sweet, wet heat that we have. Ugh, constantly a moist heat.
It's a Florida thing.
Yeah.
We do wet heat better than any other state.
Oh, dude, we live in that wet.
I live in
the wet.
Ooh, that slop.
Ooh, that moist ass swamp. There's 2 W's in my swamp.
Swamp. 2 S's in the moist.
Yes, moist.
Oh, man. But anyway, yeah, we researched a couple movies each, real-life instances.
Yeah.
I remember when I mentioned it to Joey about it, he was like, real-life vampires? And I was like, yeah.
Be afraid.
Yeah, be afraid. Look into it. There's some
what do you mean? You don't know about vampires being real this whole time?
It was one of those things I realized. I'm like, oh, yeah, it's the first one that's like cannibals, we have real cannibals.
Obviously,
animals attack people.
Happens on the daily somewhere.
Vampires, there's like a gray area.
Yeah, should there be? The answer is yeah, for sure. Some of them are real.
So
more on that to come.
As before, we'll kind of discuss. I guess first, just like how do you feel about vampires?
I think they're pretty fucking baller, to be honest with you.
Really,
I enjoy vampires. They digging into starting this episode, doing my research and stuff. You start to realize like there's just vampires were a lot closer to my taste in movies and stuff than I readily realized at first. Yeah. Like, cause you go through like, okay, what we usually do is we go through all the movies that we're not going to talk about.
Right.
So like Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Interview would, no point talking about Interview.
Which are some of the movies that I have written down here that I really, really love, but I feel like probably shouldn't talk about, are Blade, which is unfortunate because I fucking love Blade.
Yeah.
The quick note on Blade. Every probably few weeks, maybe a month and a half at the most, there's a YouTube video that I watch that has the opening scene from Blade set to Future Club by Perturbator.
Yeah.
And I encourage everyone to check this video out. It is just sweet ass, I guess, what do they call it? It's like house kind of techno, but it's like
sure, yeah,
dark wave, I think they call it, or dark synth, or something like that.
Of course, it has a fucking name like that.
Yeah, of course, there's a moniker for everything. But yeah, just the opening scene where he rolls up in there and he just flattens
the fucking nightclub.
Yeah, the bloodbath. And he just flattens this whole club, and it's just with better music. And, it's so good. Let's see.
Blade's a good one.
Blade interview with a vampire.
That's just like Bram Stoker's Dracula is probably like it's incredible.
Yeah.
Interview might be what I always hold up as like this is like vampires.
I think it's better than Bram Stoker's Dracula, just because
I would agree.
The quality of like the acting. Like, look, I love Bram Stoker's Dracula.
It's got 3 regrettable performances.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves,
Winona Ryder,
who is only, I think people kind of overrate Winona Ryder a little bit.
Yes,
but
I agree.
It's kind of like a Natalie Portman thing.
It's that Beetlejuice. Everybody just likes Beetlejuice, I think.
I mean, she's
puts her in your
fine
head.
in Beetlejuice, I guess.
I think she's fine in everything, and that's the thing.
Right, yeah. I don't know, in Stranger Things, she's pretty fucking... I never liked her in Stranger Things.
Well...
Maybe that's a topic for another day.
We'll have a whole episode, maybe one day where we
just Winona Ryder in Stranger Things, go 5 hours, break it all down.
The longest episode.
Yep.
Yeah, no, those are... I think, I agree. Interview is probably better on the whole than
as far as, like, filmmaking, I think.
Bram Stoker's is just so fucking solid. Like, it's because you get everything Gary Oldman does in the movie is
perfect.
So fucking
good. Dude, the wardrobe he has
it's
when he's
wonderful.
Not only that weird, like, musculature armor with, like, the ridges on it, but also when he's...
I want to, like my nails down it and make, like, a noise.
Dude, it would, too. Or, like, take a little, like, those, the ridged frogs that make the rivet noise. Dude, when he's first sees what, well, let's just call her Mina, because that's her name in the movie, and I don't want to keep saying Winona Ryder. Mina Harker. He sees her on the street, and what he's wearing, he's got the fucking sunglasses and the top hat
and that petticoat thing,
and his hair is
he's got that cane, like he's just like
he doesn't need it, but he needs it.
No, he's so fucking rad. That whole movie,
it is good.
No, that whole there's even like little things like when he's escaping at the end, he's got like a death mask thing on. You're like, what is he wearing?
What are you doing, dude?
No, that movie's fucking rad as hell.
And when he's all fucking old and shit, he looks cool with the beehive hairdo.
Right.
His shadow's doing weird shit.
Anthony Hopkins nails it that whole movie.
Yes, Anthony Hopkins is good. I like to pretend that Anthony Hopkins should be in Hugh Jackman's part in Van Helsing. They just swap it.
That'd be so good.
That would be awesome.
Oh, that's a fucking bad movie. What else is on your list? I know we got Blade,
Lost Boys.
Lost Boys is Lost Boys. That's Vampire the Masquerade often cites both Lost Boys and Interview as like the main pillars of their entire thing.
I got no issue with that at all.
Right. Lost Boys is fucking rad too.
I fucking love Lost Boys a lot too. We used to get, when I was living in Tampa, we would get hammered and blare that soundtrack a lot. Because Cry, Little Sister, incredible song. Mostly I Still Believe by Tim Capello. Lost Boys started my love affair with Tim Capello.
Well, I wonder why.
Yeah, I don't know. Just some.
Is it the extended sequence or he just owns the movie?
where he's in the beginning of it, and for the rest of the movie you're wondering where he is.
Yeah, like, what's he up to?
Yeah, what are you even doing? You don't have to be involved in the plot.
Right.
Just cut back to him. Let me see his life. I got a funny story about that, but it's got nothing. It's going to take too long. Let's see. 30 Days a Night was really good.
Yeah, right. Those are pretty solid. 30 Days of Night is almost a better concept than it is an actual movie.
I would say the execution suffers a little bit, but the atmosphere is killer. I like the vampires that are like, their mouths are all fucked up, and they're like, they got claws and it's all dry blood. They're not even worried about washing off.
I think what's fucking weird about vampires is that, like, almost like cannibals, there's like a spectrum. like vampires are just all the fuck over the place.
Yes,
like,
for
you
sure.
get the romanticized ones, and then you get just fucking
the monsters of the night,
monsters,
and then more like sophisticated. Like,
yeah, and it's interesting that they can mix them a lot of the time. You get weird where they kind of bleed over, and you're just like, there's like hierarchies and like vampires from other places that have like their own way of doing things.
Right.
It's almost one of the only times I can think of where that like works. Like where you can just do like a just a, I don't even know what to fucking say about it. Like Spectre's the best way to say it. You could have a film where you just like, here's the entire fucking gamut, you know, and it all just feels fine.
Sure.
And it's one of the only times I think we have like a template, but just so many things can be moved around.
But you can also
you never give a shit. Yeah, you're always like, okay, cool.
You can easily shuffle it around and mess with it, and no one's going to be like, there's probably some purists out there who should shut the fuck up about, like, well, actually, vampires should,
I only get that way if a movie randomly has to be like, silver, and then it doesn't work, and then somebody has to go, that's werewolves, and I want to be like, no, it's vampires.
It's honestly anything undead.
Shut your
or
fucking mouth, movie.
You know, anything evil, silver fucks it up.
It's more just me being like, you think you're being clever. Shut up, movie.
Yeah, please stop.
It makes me so mad. No, I'm with you. I'm super into vampires. I think I love almost every movie about them that I won't say every movie ever, because in trying to pick like a fun off pick for my movie the presentation today,
right.
I was like, there's some fucking rotten, but that's everything.
Yeah. I mean, we're not touching Twilight.
I mean, fuck
so. Are those even real vampires?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those.
Well, what a stupid thing to ask. Like, are those real vampires?
Those real vampires.
Were they invented fictionally in the proper way?
You know what's weird? I'll say this. It's bizarre watching, like, because, like, Blade, Twilight, True Blood, Vampire Diaries.
I forgot all about True Blood.
Fucking Gangrel from WWF. They all, like, seriously aped the fuck out of Vampire the Masquerade's entire setting.
You think they know it?
Oh, they know it. They totally know. They have to. It's so.
Look,
it's
I don't know.
Like, it's one of those things where, like, there's a famous series of lawsuits that the company was always doing. Like, hey,
really?
How come you didn't, like, Vampire Nightclub was, like, not a thing until we did it, Blade.
Really?
And then Blade, they were like, okay. Like, the entire aesthetic that the movie used comes right out of, like, Player's Handbook.
Son of a bitch.
It's
like, I don't know fuck all about
the entire
Vampire
idea of factions of, like, some of us want to keep it a secret, some of us think we should rule. That's all Vampire the Masquerade.
Okay.
It's weird
some of the coolest parts of vampire movies.
It's weird that they shaped it, like, and they've never been given credit. They've never been referred to. It's weird. It was weird when I found it out too, because then I was like, 15 years of me watching shit, I'm like, wow. Like, the amount of shit that was just lifted shamelessly.
Dude, honestly, a world where I'm excited to play a game, I guess. Because a world where, like, Blade, Lost Boys, and Interview with a Vampire are, like, the main... Because them are some bad boys from Zach's childhood, for sure.
Right. I was looking through it the other day, because I have that whole set now. It's ridiculous. But I was like, I was like, that's Zach. This is Zach's clan right here.
For sure. If there's a human faction that is just always overwhelmed but integrates, I always like the overwhelmed hunter character is very fun. You ever read? There's I think it's Steve Niles. I think does a comic book called Criminal Macabre, and there's a guy named Cal McDonald who is just a shitty. He's a monster slayer essentially. Yeah. But he's also like just a drug addict and a kind of an asshole, and
I don't know if I have.
It's good, man.
Check.
Well, certain ones are good. You kind of gotta. Sure. Thomas Jane says it's the role he was born to play, and he's been pushing really hard for a lot of years to get it.
Like you, Thomas Jane.
That's his name.
I know, it's just funny. I've never every time I hear his name, it's Tom Jane.
Not for me.
It's the level of respect we give.
Of course, dude.
Sir Thomas Jane.
Sir Thomas of Jane.
Oh man, I aside from, like, Twilight, which almost should be on the list just because, like, what the fuck can we say about how annoying that movie was?
Honestly, it's never seen one. Never watched one.
I have never.
It is so.
I watched the first one.
Sure.
And there's a scene from one of the later ones that is in my soul. Like, I love it so much.
Oh, that's good.
They, like, present a vampire with, like, a little kid vampire or something, and the laugh he lets out, like, the holy fuck laugh is so weird and upsetting, and I laugh really hard with him.
Right.
But I'm nervous. And the actor said, he's like, I tried to channel a thing that hasn't emoted in 1,000 years laughing at me. And I'm like, dude,
it's good they thought it out.
I'm like, you're a champ. I'll have to show you after. It's one of my favorite things.
Yeah, I would love to see it. Yeah, I've never. It was just so clearly. Before the movies got made, when it was books, it was just so clearly outside of my give a fuck wheelhouse.
Well, yeah, I just
let it ride.
It's like romance garbage. It's nothing.
Which is, dude, if you like it, you like it. I don't care. I mean, those movies get ripped to fucking shreds on the regular.
They're rough.
Yeah,
they're definitely rough. It's one of those things where you're just like,
you know, it's kind of dude. If I like garbage sometimes too. I'm not mad at you for liking it. Yeah, I know. But if you're also mad at me for not liking something,
I think it was just that time period where it was like we're still doing it. We're still like people who love niche things that used to be like closeted.
Right.
Like that was like vampires were getting drug out into public in such a lame way almost.
Oh, it was definitely lame.
It felt like the backlash was mostly just like, you fuck vampires up.
Yeah,
it felt like that.
A lot of people who are used to the type of vampires we like, where they're just like dark murder machines that are amoral and just meat grinders for mortal men, are now all of a sudden the subject of romance in the wrong way. Yeah. Because vampires are a very romantic thing. It's always involved with...
But it's always...
Sexiness.
It's weird that Twilight went the route of like, well, he's emotionally like the submissive. Like, he's kind of enthralled. Because it's like...
Right?
No, it's always... That's almost a rule you shouldn't break. Is the vampire should be the one... He's hundreds of years old.
Bring people in.
Why does he give a shit?
I think it's sometimes cool because sometimes it's a superpower that they have. It's like a hypnosis. Mm-hmm. But other times it's just like, no, I have hundreds of years of charisma. I know how to manipulate people.
Yeah.
You know?
It's almost like they wanted that guy in Twilight to feel like Louis from Interview, where he's like convicted. He's dark and brooding.
But Louis a bitch.
Louis is a bitch, but Louis is so fun. I love Louis.
He's
Louis
good.
Badass fuck. He's almost the only time that archetype works for me half the time. Like, I can't think of another vampire who really like struggles with it and like turns against his own kind and kind of becomes his own rogue thing.
Yeah.
That I wasn't kind of like...
But never like... He doesn't sunlight himself. He doesn't stake himself. He's just like, no, I'm a vampire.
This is what I am.
It's just other vampires suck sometimes, and I'm not going to pretend that we're in some...
I'm not going to put up with it.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's right. God, that's one of those things. I feel like we could go in like 10 directions with vampires too, because they're super fucking rad.
They're ancient too.
It's so good.
There's so many avenues to branch off from.
Yeah, it's one of those oldest myths of just like the idea of just like people start dying in your village. Well, it's probably a dead body that like somebody's probably a thing, a ghoul or something. Got to dig up all our dead and see the one that's fresh.
Or like, you know, well, we dumped a corpse in a well because we don't know any better, and then all of the villagers started dying. That guy must be cursed. He come back from the dead to kill us all.
Dude, that'd be a fucking rad movie. Body in the well, and it's totally like a Dracula the whole time.
Oh, dude.
I just imagine like, fuck.
Like he makes his home in the well?
Yeah.
Or they think it's a Dracula.
Ooh.
But it turns out it's just poisoned well because they dumped a body in there.
Could be. Oh man, it'd be fun. You know, they always say that like shit like that was like ergot poisoning from like shitty rye bread.
Right.
It'd be rad as hell to get like a weird like.
Turns out it was vampires.
Maybe just weaving it out, man. Like, is it vampires? No, it's like ergot poisoning. But like,
is it vampires?
Could it be vampires? Nah, it's aliens. And just fucking sweep the table.
Just throw everything out. Turns out it's been Bigfoot.
Turns out
the entire time.
It's been Bigfoot. Oh fuck. Bigfoot's scary.
Yeah, Bigfoot's
what
vampire Bigfoot.
Oh, fuck. Let's get out of here. That's why we never see them in the daylight.
Oh, fuck.
They're all vampires.
Vampire Bigfoots.
We gotta get out of here.
I am of the clan, too, as a quick tangent, that you don't say big feet. You say Bigfoots.
Yeah. Big footsies.
Yeah. Anyway. I think this is going off the rails, man. We gotta tighten up.
Definitely. So,
Okay, yeah. So
what was the first film you watched?
The first film I watched was a delightful movie. Probably my favorite movie of my set that I have is a movie called Only Lovers Left Alive. You ever see this movie?
I don't think so.
Oh, it's fucking incredible. It's by Jim Jarmusch, who also directed one of my other favorite movies, Coffee and Cigarettes.
Dude!
And he also did Dead Man, Ghost Dog, the samurai movie with Forrest Whitaker.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Oh, dude, this movie was pretty killer. Super slow, like, mostly just... Okay, it stars Tom Hiddleston as, like, a goth rocker vampire, as if there's another person. Well, there's many other guys.
but not for Tom Hiddleston.
No. Who is in a hundreds of year marriage with Tilda Swinton.
Right on.
Right? And they're separated by continents. Like, she's in Italy and he's in Detroit.
Sure.
And he's been making this fucking... It's kind of a side note, but he makes this pretty fucking killer, like, drone post-rock goth music.
Right.
That's super good. The stuff that he makes is super good. But it's... The plot's a little... shaky, I guess. It's mostly Tom Hiddleston is fucking sick of the world because mortals suck and they're idiots, and he's fascinated by the world, and he's so happy that he's immortal within it. But the fact that it's being squandered by idiot mortals
pissing him off
is just... It's gone past anger and is now just in depression.
Sure.
And he's all of his tech is super lo-fi, and he doesn't have a smartphone or anything. And,
right.
He's all of his technology is Tesla. Like, his car is a Tesla technology. All of his, like, the lights in his house and shit is all Tesla tech. And they decided they've been apart for too long. So Tilda Swinton comes to either visit or reunite. It's kind of a fluid situation because they're fucking immortal vampires.
Sure.
So I feel like they're kind of like...
Time's probably a little relative.
Yeah, they kind of eschew... Yeah. They needed some time apart, and that just happened to be 60 years on separate continents. It doesn't matter to them.
Yeah.
You know?
Probably didn't feel that long.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
In the span of
the
eternity.
grand scheme of it.
Yeah, who gives a shit? So for one, these vampires are the ultimate hipsters. You know what I mean? They know... Tilda Swinton's character especially can listen to a song, know the month and year that it came out, look at an old show from the 60s
right.
and be like, oh, this is whatever
sure.
from 1962, just catalogs it.
Sure.
They communicate through dreams kind of too, which is weird because Tilda Swinton's younger sister shows up, who's also a vampire. And they're all kind of like, oh, fucking, here we go with this. Here
we go.
I think it's implied that she fucked something up really hard, and they all had to bail from the certain... I forget what it was, but I'm not going to spoil it too much, because it actually is a fucking really good movie. And I suggest everybody go and watch it. Let me see.
Side note that for a sec.
Yeah, go ahead.
That idea that Tom Hiddleston's, like, dipped into depression...
Yeah.
That's almost something integral to me. Like, I think if you're going to make a vampire movie about, like, that kind of, like, philosophical idea...
Yeah.
The idea that they're, like, not just murdering people... That lethargy is, like, so fucking important to me.
Yeah.
Like, the idea that they just get to a point where they're just like... Alright, come on.
Can we fucking speed this along? Yeah.
Like, can we speed eternity along, please?
Dude, he talks mad shit, too. He's like, dude, Tesla was here, and you guys just didn't give a shit. Like, it kind of seems like that's one of the stepping stones into his giving up on mortals.
Right.
They call them zombies.
Oh.
They call mortals zombies. Yeah, because they're just fucking stupid.
They're lifeless, stupid people.
Yeah, and I've always found it interesting, because I've been saying for a long time that a lot of humanity's fuck-ups stem from the fact that our lifespan is so short.
Sure.
Like, nobody really thinks long game because they're not going to see the benefits from it, and it's an uphill battle to get to it, so they figure why bother.
It's like now, and then it's what can I leave behind to like scar the planet with my
But
face?
that's only at the end of it, though.
The tail end of your
is like, oh shit, when you finally recognize your own mortality, it's like, oh wait. When it starts smacking you in the fucking face, it's like, oh, maybe I should have made a more lasting impact than trying to.
And then you do something stupid.
Yeah.
Like put your face on a coin.
Yes. And other idiots put your face on a coin because they thought you were important.
Yeah.
But he's trying to kill himself. Like he gets this guy to make him a special bullet that is a stake. It's a tiny little wooden stake. And he's gonna shoot himself in the heart with this
feel like
stake.
there's easier ways.
I was thinking the same thing, but I was like, yo, go out the way you want to go out. Oh yeah. Anyway, so like being unable to die, you know, you just see the grand swaths of stupid that all stack on top of each other, and it's just gotten to the point where he's living in a shit house in Detroit, making this rad post-goth drone rock, and with these incredible guitars, and they know their shit too. They break open this, I forget what it is now, I should have made a note, but I watched this months ago, pre-pandemic, so it's all, you know, I'm going off of notes and I didn't make a note. But they know their shit on their axes, which is good for me, because I'm a musician. I enjoyed it a lot. They don't hunt anymore.
Sure.
They have deals. Tom Hiddleston gets his blood from a dirty... Well, not dirty. He's a corrupt blood bank guy. He just goes and slips this guy like a couple $1,000. Because all these vampires are loaded.
Well, why wouldn't they be?
Exactly. They're rich.
If you're successful, you know.
Yeah, if you've had this much time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you haven't just been fucking around. Honestly, like the movie we're going to discuss. If you're not just fucking around.
When we were watching the movie, I was thinking this. I was like, this is the antithesis of every other movie I watched. Which is great. It's awesome. It kind of speaks to the scope of vampires like we were talking about. But, yeah, he just goes and he slips this guy some cash, and he gets a bunch of blood. And blood is like heroin to them. They only need a little bit. And when they like kick it back like a shot.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And then they just kind of sink into the couch and just, so good. It's like, it's very, very heroin-like.
Sure.
Which I think is cool.
It's an interesting change because it's always, very commonly, when it's used as like a weird intoxicant, it's almost always more like heavy wine. Like they gotta drink super deep and then it kind of fugues them out for a bit. Yeah. It's interesting though to do it like a fucking much more like heavy kick, small supply.
And there's like, severities to it. They have to be careful more and more, like, not by the day, but through the centuries, they've had to become more and more careful because blood pollutants are much more popular now. Sure. People taking medications and shit is like,
right.
You don't want to feed on a drug addict because his blood's all shitty and you feel like ass, you know? It's like eating a bad cheeseburger. It's all rotted and shit. It's gross, you know? Mm-hmm. So then you go to the blood banks because that's that fucking primo medical grade shit. Yeah, so they can just kind of zonk out. They don't need a whole lot. They can kind of kick it down the road a little bit, which is very good. Let's see. Let's see. Hunting is presumably too risky. She's in Tangiers. Which I'm not sure where that is. It might be in Spain still. Zombies squander their lives for... I might have just covered everything. I don't want to go over the plot because it's...
Sure. It sounds interesting.
It's a good movie, man. I enjoyed it thoroughly. It's probably the favorite one I watched.
What's the word? They're like... Are they like cosmopolitan vampires? Like
it's exactly what they are.
Or what is that word? It's like...
They're like continentals.
Is it not egalitarian? What is that fucking word? I don't know. But yeah, no, they sound like they're just like super high class. Kind of just able to really sink into how like...
I feel like they can be. It's clear that they have been high class for a long time, but Tom Hiddleston in particular is more like he's lived the fucking high class, and I identify with his character a lot because after a while he's just like, I just want to live in a fucking flop house in Detroit and just make music that is dope, and just have these fucking incredible guitars. I think it may not be one of the last ones, but Anton Yelchin's in it.
Right.
And he plays like his gopher. He can just find whatever. Mm-hmm. So he's like wheeling and dealing, and Tom Hiddleston will just tell him what he wants, and then Anton Yelchin comes back with it, and then he just hands him a couple $1,000 and it's like, yeah.
That'd be a fun gig.
I know.
Buy shit for the weird dude down the road.
Dude, it's so awesome. And he's like trying to get his music out there because he's like, yo, this shit is fucking rad. Mm-hmm. And it's not really a plot point. It's just an interesting thing that's also happening because there's not really
it sounds like
plot.
It's more just like
it's just situational, which I enjoy a lot.
Interesting.
They always wear, even at night when they go out, because they don't go out during the day, obviously. But they always have sunglasses and gloves on.
Sure.
No matter what, if they're outside of their little hovel, I guess
they got weird eyes or something.
No,
interesting.
Regular eyes. That I remember. Well, Tilda Swinton has weird eyes.
Tilda Swinton, she's an actual Dracula.
I think she might be, and more power to you. I love you, Tilda Swinton. Please don't come drink my blood in my sleep.
At least
I do legitimately love you. The threat of blood drinking aside, I love you a lot.
She's not bad in anything, is she?
I don't think so.
Damn,
I can't think of anything. He's like Michael Fassbender, where you're in shitty things sometimes, but you're never shitty.
Yeah, I'm always working with you, bud.
Yeah, I'm with it. Even in like Constantine, she's Gabriel in Constantine.
Yeah,
and she's fucking killer in it.
Oh yeah, everything. One of the only good parts about that Doctor Strange movie.
I never watched that one.
No, she's rad though in it. Of course,
it's as far as all like I never watched Black Panther. I was just like, he'll be in the Avengers movie. I already know about Black Panther. Yeah, I don't need to know this. I already know who he is. You know he's married to Storm, and everybody's like, huh? Yeah, dude. They rule Wakanda together.
What's up?
Fucking plebeians. But that part of my life is done. So.
The end game.
Yeah, it ended. No, like even the comics of it is like, I'm done.
I'm with you.
Yeah. Comics are still cool, but not those comics. But yeah, I think I'm gonna call it on that one because honestly, I want
it sounds like one of those ones that you need
the
to watch.
Listener at home. I want you to watch it. I want you especially to watch it, Matt. It was very good. It's called Only Lovers Left Alive.
I have to check that out.
Very, very good. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
All right, so the first one I'm going to talk about is maybe a little bit more well known than my other one. It's definitely one I've talked about a lot. We almost watched it.
Oh shit!
For this, but I was like, I watched Near Dark. I think Near Dark is maybe a better film than this one,
right? Overall,
but it's Shadow of the Vampire, and it is. I've brought it up a lot in the group that we frequent.
It's a fact.
It's a cool little movie. The entire premise is based on the fact that the director who made Nosferatu is known for weird, obsessive realism. Like I can't remember the name of the movie. He was making a movie about this time they had to dismantle a boat and carry it over a mountain. And he went and found the actual villagers, and was like, "Hey, be the extras in the movie." Like he was like that. Like he's into that stuff. He's like authentic stuff. So the idea is, what
Nanook of the North was pretending to be.
Yes.
Right.
So the idea is, what if he was dedicated enough to track down a real vampire to play Orlok in the movie? Yeah.
Is his name Orlok?
His name is Orlok.
That's a cool name.
Yeah. Nosferatu is just what he is. He's a Nosferatu.
Yeah.
But yeah, his name's Orlok.
I didn't think his name was Nosferatu. I just called him that.
He's played by an equally Dracula name, a guy named Max von Schreck. Which is just so fucking... It's also the bad guy in Batman Returns.
No, that's just Max Schreck. I was gonna...
Yeah, well,
I was gonna bring it up. I was gonna be like, isn't that fucking Christopher Walken from Batman Returns?
He's looked like a Nosferatu in that movie.
Yeah, a little bit. His hair in that movie.
Dude, it's out of control.
Fucking awesome.
But yeah, no, Shadow Vampire is an interesting film. It follows it's a lot of great filmmaking things.
Right.
The process of making a silent film is really interesting that they go into.
I'm sure that's true.
And then once the actual...
That's with... The one with Willem Dafoe playing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
And they play it close to the vest. It's not for a little bit before they're just like... No, he's a vampire. Like, and like the first scene where they meet him is like super spooky and weird because like he just comes out, does one shot, and then disappears, and nobody knows where the fuck he went.
That's cool.
It's a fun movie. It's almost a funny movie at times. Because it's got what's his name? He played the guy with the hairspray, Eddie Izzard.
Okay.
I'm just gonna fucking let that thought disappear into the ether. He had the hairspray.
Yeah, I guess I'm not gonna pursue.
Yeah,
it, so.
Eddie Izzard's in it as he plays the dude who plays John. Is it Harker? Is their name's Harker in Draco? Yeah. He plays the equivalent in Nosferatu.
Right.
But yeah, no, it's one of those ones where it's the plot is the making of Nosferatu, and that's basically it. Except he's like promised that he'll get the actress playing Mina at the end, like to feed on.
Oh,
and there's a lot of fun power struggles with John Malkovich, who's playing the director, because fucking of course.
Yeah.
And there's so many great scenes where he's just like, Orlok. They make up all these fun papers and shit. Like, oh yeah, this is Max von Schreck. He's a method actor. Don't fuck with him.
he's part of his process.
He is in character until the finished movie. And there's a lot of that.
Did they have to do makeup on him, or did he show up like bald with pointy ears?
Oh no, he looks like that. They say he does his own makeup, but there's like bits where somebody will try to touch him up and he'll fucking be all weird about it. It's super fun. It's weird because it's so fun for a while with the idea, and then like he starts offing people.
Oh, good.
He kills somebody because he's getting impatient. He's like, well, when can I eat her? It's like, well, we haven't filmed all the scenes, and like,
right, we still need her on camera.
Then the director's like, it's fun because he's planning on killing him. Like, he's just like, I'm never gonna let him have her. I'm just making sure I film the last scene where the vampire's killed by the daylight is the last thing we're gonna do.
Because it's gonna actually kill him.
We're gonna try and kill him.
Right.
And there's this plan, and it's the slow, like, devolution of that relationship, of, like, the power struggle where where Orlok realizes very quickly, they don't name him, which I like.
Okay.
His actual name doesn't, he's ancient. He's like, I don't even fucking know. They actually,
that's awesome.
It's the best scene in the movie, which I'm gonna actually briefly touch on. It's great where he's like, it's just the idea that he realizes, like, you have no fucking carts here. I could just pick off all of these shitty workers. Like, I'll take the fucking grips. I'll take the guys who run food. Like, I don't give a shit. I won't. He's like, I won't touch any of the actors. We'll finish this movie. It's like fun like that. And there's scenes where it's John Malkovich like, I found you in a cave. You fucking owe me. And I'm just like, fucking screaming at this vampire. And Willem Dafoe's sitting all hunched laughing because he just ate a Puerto Rican kid or something.
Oh Lord.
He's like taking off the ethnic help. But it's a rad little movie. It's really fun.
I've heard good things about it. I've never watched it though.
The problem is there's some borderline silly moments where like once the tone is shifted, Willem Dafoe is being he's almost expressing a little too hard, and like scenes that are supposed to be like he's like trying to be like, you know, we were talking about it earlier, but like how Gary Oldman will do that like very like over expressive, like opulent, like you're my guest, here's the thing, sit here.
Yeah.
Dafoe tries that, and it's silly because it's Dafoe, and Dafoe's face isn't, he's just being, it's a little too goofy. Sadly.
Well, especially like Dafoe in goblin makeup.
Yeah, it's
which they should have done for Spider-Man, goddammit.
Yeah, the tone of Shadow of the Vampire sadly just doesn't live up to being that good. Sucks.
The commercials that I've seen for it, like commercials and trailers and stuff, it looks like a madcap comedy kind of.
It's pretty fun for a bit, and then it gets dark, and you're like, okay, cool, but then it's just like Dafoe never turned off the eccentric about it, and
that might. Consistency might be what he's going for, maybe. Sure. He's like, looking at it from an actor, well, I could never hope to get inside Willem Dafoe's head. The motherfucker's brilliant. But he might be coming at it from like a... this dude's been acting this way for
forever.
Several hundred years. Mm-hmm. So... would he really be switching up his tone? But he might still. It's
like almost really good. It's like the B- movie.
Right.
I like it a lot.
Still solid.
It's still very solid. The best scene in the movie really is, and why I was like I want to talk about it, is he has this. There's the producer and the cinematographer hanging out drinking. And he stumbles into their fucking midst, and they go, "Come on, Max, come drink with us." So they're drinking with him, and he's hanging out. He's not supposed to be talking to them because he got yelled at, but he's like, whatever.
Right.
And he's sitting there drinking with them, and they're asking him if he read the book, and he goes, "Oh, I hated it." It's like, "I thought it was rubbish, it was stupid." And they're like, "Really? You didn't like Dracula?" And he's like, "Yeah, I thought it was dumb." And they're like, "What about it?" And he's like, he has this like brilliant moment where he just goes, and I didn't think about it, but he's like, he's like, if he's been alone in that castle for 200 years, how does he know how to prepare that meal for him? How does he know what they eat now? And he's like, he's like, how would he even know how the people buy bread nowadays? And he just goes on this long, like, he's like, because he's drinking, he's getting drunk, which was a neat detail, and he's like, I don't even remember, like, it's like, what utensils you need. I don't remember how to make bread. I don't remember the taste of bread. How would I make it for him? And it's so good. And I'm like, fuck, that's like, how did Dracula make that fucking food? And I'm like, it was the bride. And then open up these ideas. I'm like, holy fuck. Like, it's an avenue that, because the movie starts getting serious, I was really like, I want a movie about, like, this guy's... What the fuck was this guy doing in that cave?
Right.
Clearly, he hasn't seen people for a while. Because he got
kind of points to how weird he's being, and...
Yeah. And I was like, this is an interesting, like, pitch for a film. Like, what's going on? And then it kind of just evolves into, they go make a movie, and he kills a couple more people, and then the son kills him. Like, it kind of just plays out.
That famous...
Yeah, in the context of this, it was real,
right?
And like, he did die. It's a fun little, it's a cool little
Sounds
movie.
cool. Yeah.
It's cool, that one scene, and I'm like, that's what makes it. Like, I put it on my like back memory because I'm like, I love that scene.
Sure.
Sadly, it's not as introspective. It's more wacky in a lot of senses.
That's
up until a point, and it's.
That's the way it was
rocky.
pitched as far as advertisement goes, to me personally. Anyway. It was like...
It's super fun. Not Ewan McGregor. Who the fuck is it? Carrie Elwes shows up at one point.
Oh, no shit.
Because he like kills the DP, the director of photography, and they have to get another guy, and it's Carrie Elwes who shows up.
Right. Carrie Elwes, man.
Of course, he always shows up in like such wild places.
He's never turned away either.
No, again, never great and everything.
Yeah, that's true. Never sad to see him.
Even like Saw 7. You're like,
does he come back?
Yeah, they reveal it. He was alive the whole time and was secretly helping.
Oh, flame.
But you're like, whoa!
I'm just happy to see him working.
Of course.
Yeah.
The Princess Bride actor should not, like, Dread Pirate Roberts should not be left out to dry.
No, nobody should be left to want.
Nobody. But yeah, that's as much as I can honestly say about it. It's more of an enthusiastic, like, recommendation than anything.
You know, now that you bring that scene up, it's interesting to think about vampires and social cues that they wouldn't know about. Mm-hmm. But when certain types of vampires, that's their bread and butter. That's how they survive. Mm-hmm. Infiltrating
sticking with
society and just riding it out and picking off people where they can. And
it's a really
sure
weird idea. And it almost plays to the idea of like why you might need to go turn somebody.
Right.
Because you're like, well, I don't know what the fuck they're doing nowadays.
Some people, I need to know.
I need somebody who's out there, you know?
Yeah. Give me some intel.
I hate to bring it up again, but Vampire the Masquerade actually has a whole mechanic called the humanity score. And the lower it is, the more powerful you are as a vampire. But the more out of touch you start to become, like, you start, like, forget it. You start, like, I don't know how this computer works. I don't know. What's the point of the bouncer? Like, what's
what even
this?
Is this? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like...
Especially when, like, as a vampire, you can fucking kill anybody you want to, really.
Why do you give a shit?
In most versions of vampires, you know, you can just...
They're usually our physical
neck.
Superiors.
Yeah.
What is it? Because we just rewatched it. Not to talk about it, just because I love it. But I showed my wife Dusk Till Dawn, and they make a very big point to say that they're stronger than us, but their flesh is like pudding. Like you can just pop through it.
Oh, really?
Tom Savini's talking about it. He's like, yeah, but their flesh is like mushy. You can just rip their head off. It's so weird. And I'm like, oh yeah, Tom Savini.
That is, for one, yes. Tom Savini's the shit. I'm a big fan. But that's interesting.
Yeah, it was weird too. They were just like, yeah, it doesn't take much to just like knock their head off.
So if you can get the upper hand on a vampire, you can kill it.
Which I was like, that's fun.
That is fun.
It's almost like it's definitely like a live or die. Like if you don't kill it immediately,
it's
gonna tear you up.
That's fun. I haven't seen Dust Till Dawn in years.
It's still so good.
Yeah, I'm sure it's fine still.
I can't think of another movie that aside from Predator, without the spaceship scene, like another movie that holds its fucking cards as long.
Jeepers Creepers, dude.
Even Jeepers Creepers is like first act turn.
Yeah. Well, okay. As far as you knowing he's a murderer.
Yeah. Dusk Till Dawn is like.
But you don't know he's a bat monster until like the last half hour. So.
Yeah. No, that's like first act. Yeah, the
bat monster.
Yeah, the wing reveal is like as a first act turn.
No.
Yeah, it's like end of the first act. It's when they're like.
I gotta watch that.
There's the cat lady. Did you see the lady with the
cats yet? Did you see the cats yet?
I'm gonna fuck it. I'm gonna call Jake and just leave messages.
Oh my god! Call him from a payphone though, and disguise your voice. He'll know what it is too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We watched that when we were kids and probably shouldn't have.
Probably should not have. Oh, what's your next one, Sonny?
Oh, my next one is a lovely little film from the 70s called Ganja and Hess. You ever hear about this one?
I don't think I've heard about this one either.
Okay, this is, I forget the director, but it was like taken out of theaters a couple different times and repackaged because it wasn't doing very well. It is a cool movie, little experimental type of shit. It's the main character, Hess. His name is Hess Green, Dr. Hess Green. And he's played by the original Ben from Night of the Living Dead.
Right on.
I forget his name. But I watched the movie and then looked. It's kind of all over the place, so I kind of got a rundown of it too, just so I can kind of get a better handle on it, get some purchase. And the rundown that I got flipped the script on me a little bit. I didn't understand what was happening, I thought. Because it starts off, okay, this guy, Dr. Hess Green, is a geologist and anthropologist.
Right.
And he's been stabbed 3 times by this ancient dagger from this ancient African tribe of blood drinkers.
Right.
And he gets stabbed once for the Father, once for the Son, and once for the Holy Ghost.
Of course.
And it turns him into a vampire.
Badass.
Well,
I like weird.
thought so too.
Yeah, I like weird artifacts.
And it's a cool like shard of bone.
Yeah,
it looks badass.
That's the anime the manga JoJo's Bizarre Adventure has a whole all the vampires that spawn in that series for the first 2 bits. It's like a mask that like if blood gets on it, it clamps on you and it makes you into a vampire.
Oh, that's cool.
You have to feed it a little bit first, but
sure.
I love that shit.
Like kind of wake it up or
it's
something.
like weird fucking relics. It's like it's like so clearly not just like a blood infection. It's just like it's like magic.
I mean, relics usually have me. I like me a good relic too. You know, love me a good relic.
Not the relic. You ever see that movie, The Relic?
I don't know, maybe.
If I remember correctly, it's just like a monster in a crate movie. Like they get a crate and there's a big weird thing in it.
Oh, that's cool.
Bizarre shit. I think it's supposed to be that crocodile hippo from Egypt. It's supposed to be implied that it's that. I think it's that. I can't remember.
That's cool.
We'll have to do.
Yeah,
Relic.
We'll do a crocodile hippo episode.
We only watched one movie.
It's the only one there is only one movie, and we have this special guest, a crocodile hippo. How you doing? Yeah. Anyway, so what I thought was happening was this dude was a like Indiana Jones anthropologist, like he was back in like the 30s or something.
Yeah, like an archaeologist,
right? And now he's like living in modern times, or the modern 70s.
Sure,
modern for the time. But it kind of flips around because the movie starts off. He's in a church. And the music of this movie is also pretty killer because it's like gospel blues mixed with like experimental, like not spoken word, but there's like somebody will be singing a slow version of a gospel song that all have to do with blood.
Sure.
You know, the blood of Jesus, the blood will save you, this type of stuff, and it's kind of a reflection on that about how like it's you know, Christians will hate vampires and stuff, but the blood saves them too, so it's kind of like a hypocrisy yet mirrored situation going on. It was interesting ideas for sure, but he gets this new assistant who tries to kill him, and I took this different, I guess, than the rundown at least that I read, which he stabs him with the dagger, and then it was like that's what turns him. I was like, oh dude, I thought you've been a vampire. This guy just went nuts, tried to kill you, because he's like got some problems before he goes to work for him. I thought he was bringing him there to feed on him.
Right.
You know what I mean? But and then he gets drunk and he's gonna kill himself, and he's kind of trying to talk him down. Hess is trying to talk his assistant down from killing himself, because he's literally just in a tree with a noose, and he's just drunk, and he's like, yo bro, don't try and patronize me or nothing, just fucking
come back,
leave me alone.
Feeling
you know
much
what I mean?
better.
Yeah, exactly. But and then what I took to happen was he freaks out, he chases him down, he kills him, but because he's a vampire, he doesn't die.
Sure.
And he goes and kills himself. The guy who tried to kill Hess kills himself because he was going to anyway. And then Hess is like, well, fuck, because I was going to feed on this guy, and now he killed himself. It's not fresh blood anymore.
Right.
But I guess from the rundown that I read, an alternate take on this would be the stabbing is what turned him into a vampire, and then him drinking of the blood of the guy that killed him is what like sealed the deal. He's a vampire now. Right. But anyway, that guy's wife, the guy who killed himself, his wife comes to call on Hess. They get together.
Sure.
And kind of like he turns her because she's kind of like the brash, interesting human.
Sure.
So he turns her to have a mate for life.
Yeah.
And then he just slowly gets disillusioned with the whole fucking thing, and kind of spirals out into like I don't know if I want to ruin it. Fuck it. I don't care. It's a movie from the side. It's a good movie. I won't ruin it, actually.
Sure.
There's some cool shit that happens. He's kind of like toying with her to be like, hey, this is the life you're living now. He brings another guy home and is like, go ahead. And she like seduces him, they have sex, and she kills him in the throes of passion because it's like instinct for her now to kill him and feed, and she's like not taking it very well, and he's like, yo, this is part of the fucking bag now, you know what I mean? You
wanted this.
You kind of wanted it, but she didn't want it. They got married first, and then he turned her.
Stabbed her 3 times.
No, he just fed on her. He just bet her.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? So it was. I think that was just like how the source vampire happens.
Sure.
So I like it better. Me personally, I think it's better that he's just been around for a long, long fucking time.
Sure.
And finally met this like no nonsense lady,
spunky lady,
and was like, "This is my fucking bitch, dude. This is my ride or die right here."
Right. It's and like what's this? It's like Armand in an interview where he keeps like latching on to interesting people.
Yes.
He's so fucking lonely.
Yeah. But the rundown said something else, and I don't pay any, which is fine. Especially a movie like this is pretty experimental in its editing and its different things, and so it's, you know, any art is open to interpretation unless, well, not even unless it just is. That's how art works. But it's very cool atmosphere, very grindhouse atmosphere. Right. It's like the old 70s.
What's that era? Yeah, 70s. It's just like,
it was like 74.
The film reels just weren't good back then.
Dude, and there's hair on the fucking lens and everything, so it was really good. The grain of it felt nice, and the shitty microphones that they recorded the music on make the music better. Because there was one where he's like cruising in a car, and this guy is like, this is the soundtrack of it. This guy is like kind of slow gospel singing about the blood of the fang, or the fang from the blood is what you need, or something like that. And there's heavy reverb on his voice.
Fuck.
And like delay and echo on it. Mm-hmm. And there's also just like one lonely saxophone playing, but it also sounds like it's like 1,000 feet away.
Yeah.
And it's very cool atmosphere. This is all intercut too with like super tribal music, because I'll have these flashbacks of like what I thought was like his tribal life.
Right.
You know what I mean? He's a crazy ancient vampire. And now he's just some rich, awesome dude living by himself in this mansion. Not by himself, because he has a manservant. But, yeah, it'll be intercut with this. Sometimes he'll, like, have these little freaks out. And these, like, it's like tribal shit starts playing. And he starts getting these, like, crazy African flashbacks of, like, this lady in this crazy feather headdress just, like, walking through tall grass. It's so cool, man. The atmosphere was really good.
Yeah.
Ganja and Hess, it was called.
Fuck yeah.
It was very good too. And apparently pretty influential for certain things. I'm sure there's a whole layer upon layer of symbolism that I'm not getting.
Sure.
Because it's, you know, I'm a white guy. I can't empathize with the struggle that they're probably trying to sympathize with.
Right.
That doesn't mean I can't enjoy a good movie.
It's interesting. It's weird too. That I've never heard about this, and it sounds a lot better than like what black people are dealt for vampire movies. Like, what's the most popular?
Blade.
Blade's not even as fucking well known as he should be.
No, it's not, and it's also not like. Like it doesn't say anything about the black plight or nothing. It's just awesome that.
But when you're
he's
like
a black dude murdering vampires.
Your vampire touchstones for your entire culture are fucking Blackula and then Blade.
Oh
it's
Blackula, right?
Takes you a while. That's unfortunate. Although I guess Eddie Murphy was in one called The Vampire from Brooklyn.
Vampire from Brooklyn,
which Vampire in Brooklyn. I've never watched it.
It's awesome.
I see his face. It's like it was on Netflix for a while.
I watched it on Netflix.
Is it good?
It's fucking killer, dude. I love it. It's funny as fuck.
Fuck.
I think it's one of those movies that was like the weird 90s mainstream dark comedies where it's like the humor isn't in the macabre. It's like funny sometimes but serious sometimes.
Like fucking Death Becomes Her with Bruce Willis.
Right.
Or like I Married an Axe Murderer.
I love I Married an Axe Murderer.
Low key, maybe his best fucking movie. Mike Myers.
Mike Myers.
Okay, outside of an SNL performance, like not counting.
No. Yeah, like an original property.
Right.
Because I mean, I have such a bias for Wayne's World.
It's because it's so good.
It's so good. I was watching. They used to hand out movies at McDonald's. You used to be able to buy movies there. Yeah. I've been watching Wayne's World since I was like 2 years old.
It's great.
I grew up with it. It was one of those movies that the jokes evolved. Every time I watched it, I got more and more of it. Yeah. Which ended with the sum total of it was, I'll have the cream of some young guy. The last joke I got, and I was like, cherry on top.
The movie it's like dissipated.
It was the feather from Forrest Gump, just like flew away.
Except you threw it up and it caught the wind and then hit the ground.
Because it's a VHS tape. It's scattered on an old lady's windshield, and she ran into a bus stop. And
there's a moment where it kind of fluttered.
Yeah. Or like The Mask, you huck it out the window and it just like reverses back. Anyway,
collide right near your VCR. It starts over.
Spike, going back to Ganja and Hess, Spike Lee actually remade it called The Sweet Blood of Jesus.
I have heard of that one.
That's what I heard of too.
Right.
And I couldn't believe I was researching the movie after I watched it.
Right.
I was like, oh no shit, I heard about that movie. I didn't watch it, but I heard about it.
That's not as good a title.
No, it's not.
I feel like it's a little on nose.
Yeah. I mean, Ganja and Hess is on the nose too, but it's because it's about those people.
Yeah.
But I mean, Spike Lee's always got weird titles.
Right.
But I like Clockers. That's a good name.
So you said you had a third movie as well?
I do have a third movie.
Right. Then I will actually talk about, briefly, before I talk about the one...
Mine's brief too. So.
I'll throw in a second one briefly. A second in addition to the next one. This one I almost talked about. I replaced it with what my final movie will be, but it's one of those. I feel like nobody fucking talks about it still. But Let the Right One In.
Oh.
Like, can I just like gush for a sec and give?
I think you are entitled, my friend.
Have you seen it?
I saw one of them. Because there's three versions of it.
Let the Right One In, and then there was Let Me In, which is bad. I hate Let Me In. Yeah, the
one that I saw, which wasn't even in its entirety either, so I probably saw because I was impressed with the bit I saw, so it's probably good.
It's one of those things where they make some changes and they fundamentally alter the relationship in the film.
That sucks.
So yeah, that movie's great. I think his name's Oscar. It follows like a little forgive me, I can't remember the ethnicity honestly, or the nationality. I think it's either French or like Scandinavian. I think it's one of those. It's been
That's a hell of a swing.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
I just know everybody's pasty. Might be Scandinavian. Everybody's very pasty and they have like a very pleasant language.
Oh, yeah, that could go either way.
But it follows this little kid Oscar. And he's bullied, and his life sucks, and nobody likes him, and he sucks. He sucks. He's kind of like a little.
He's like you suck.
He's like a milquetoast kid. Like he's super timid, and he's like all the
You're not
time.
allowed to say little kids suck.
Little kids suck.
Unless they're fucking Macaulay Culkin from The Good Kid.
The Good Son.
The Good Son. Yeah,
He's a bad kid.
He sucks. That's a shitty kid.
But yeah, he's like hanging out, and then some people move in next to him. This dude and his daughter, and he's like, "Oh, little girl, what's up?" And what follows is this really fucking a movie I feel most people misinterpret because they think it's very sweet, but it's him like meeting her and trying to be like friendly, and her being very like whatever, until the dude she's with gets like busted for like knocking people out, and he has like a blood pump in a suitcase, and he's been siphoning people.
Oh shit!
Because little girl, low-key vampire. So
he's just kind of like feeding her, so she doesn't have to hunt.
And it's one of these things where he's like her caretaker, and the way they talk, you have to almost like pay attention. The way they talk sounds like they're like old buddies, and it's super creepy once he gets busted, because that's when she starts hanging out with Oscar, and it's the same fucking way they talk. And I'm like, how long was that fucking guy with you?
Right.
And everybody interprets the movie as like this like sweet little movie, and I'm like, no, she's like 200 years old. Like she knows what she's doing to Oscar.
Like grooming him.
Yeah.
To be her.
And
bruiser.
it is. It's this fucking dark little movie where it's this little girl grooming this kid. She's like, well, you have bullies, just fucking kill them. Like, what are you doing?
What are you waiting
for?
Beat
them.
Yeah.
And it's, he starts getting more violent, he starts lashing out. It's one of these, like, he's, like, learning to come out of his shell, but he's being groomed by just the worst.
Right.
Yeah, and it's so fucking, and that's the thing that the American remake does, is they intentionally tweak it a little bit, so it's more...
Lean into the relationship.
It's actually a relationship. They cut out the fact that he sees her changing and finds out that it's actually a castrated boy.
Ooh.
It's a very quick cut. It's one of those things where they don't explain anything, you just know it happened. And which makes it fucking weirder.
Yeah.
Only in the sense of like the deception of it, that this vampire is leaning into. Well, everybody thinks I'm a girl anyway.
Yeah.
Girls are more vulnerable.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely easier to lure prey.
It's a spooky little movie. And it's just about them doing their thing, and it ends just fucking bleakly, where he gets the choice, like, I can stay here, or I can run away with this girl and take care of her for the rest of my life. And he just totally fucking up and packs his life away.
Nice.
And bails. And it's super good. It's one of those, it's hard to convey, like, in detail just how good that relationship is. I don't want to spoil too much of it.
Sure. I have not seen
the relationship is like, it's a horror movie, but purely as like a third party being like, that kid is fucking over. Like, there's Oscar's done.
He's dead now. Yeah. Well, dead in like the boy that he was is dead, and there's a new being there now.
There's a great sequence where he is saved by her from his bullies. They're trying to drown him. And she saves him and butchers everybody.
Oh, fuck.
And they don't show you shit. It's all the camera locks on him underwater, like in the pool.
Cool.
And you just see shit happening, like a dude's feet being dragged along one side of the pool, and like a head hit over there just out of frame, and you're like, what? And it's not until he gets up and it's just a wide shot, and you're like, what the fuck did you do to them? No, Let the Right One In is actually super rad. I almost wanted to talk about it in detail, but I ended up picking something else for my third one, which I'll get to. But I did want to gush a little bit and recommend it. Because I feel like it dropped off the fucking map. Like,
it blew up for a second there,
yeah,
and it was everywhere for a long time, and then I guess people just.
I think it was part of that period where we were just like, fuck it. The Ring did good money. Get Old Boy. Get fucking Let the Right One In.
Yeah.
Let's just make him for dum-dums who don't want to read.
Ugh,
and that period made me sad.
Dude, fucking OG Old Boy.
It's fucking. Really
There's
good.
this other, not to sidetrack too hard, but you ever see this other Korean movie called I'm a Cyborg, but it's okay?
Dude, it's rad as hell.
It's so good,
It's
man.
so good.
It's so good.
It's funny. My third movie is actually directed by the guy who made Old Boy.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Very cool.
But what is your?
My third one was one I was, while I was researching my real world examples, I just had this on just to shift into vampire gear.
Right.
Which is all the way to the left and back.
It's RD12V.
V. Yeah.
Vampire.
Shift into vampire.
Turns into the Dragula.
Yeah, just like red smoke billowing out of the exhaust pipes that come out from underneath, and yeah.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, it was called, what was it, Vampire's Kiss? I didn't take any notes about it.
No,
the Nicolas Cage one. Yeah, dude.
Oh, where that face comes from.
That is where I didn't know
Where
that.
face comes from, yeah.
But I was watching it and I was like, the meme is in the house, dude. The meme. I found the source.
Oh man, Priscilla saw that once and it's like, should I watch that? And I was like, no!
Oh, what? Go ahead and watch it. It's fun.
Rough.
I had a good time watching it.
Sure.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it wasn't. It's not heavy by any means. I don't know why. Early Nick Cage does this. I mean, he's given up now, I think. He's kind of getting back into it in certain niche movies. But he does that Tom Hardy thing where he's just like doing a voice for no reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why Tom Hardy does that, but
I feel like unlike Tom Hardy though, it's like Tom Hardy at least like he practices. It's distracting sometimes.
Yeah.
But I always feel like Tom Hardy practiced, whereas Nick Cage woke up. There was like, I'm gonna have a Boston accent. I'm gonna do an accent today.
He's like, I didn't know what you're doing. It's like slips into surfer a little bit, but it's also like, I think that's what Nick Cage thought high society sounds like.
I feel like the director is just like, what the fuck is he doing?
He won't stop.
He fucking just started doing it. I didn't tell him
Oh my
to.
god. It was a fun movie. I had a good time. Definitely a good time watching it. He just fucking freaking out on his secretary all the time.
Like if that movie wasn't if he wasn't a vampire, like
He only thinks he's a vampire. He's not a real vampire.
If that part wasn't like even a thing, it'd be such a fucking weird movie.
Yeah, for sure. It's just him going crazy.
Yeah.
But they handle it in such a way where it's like, is he a vampire though?
Yeah.
Like that part of it is fun, and I'm not trying to say it was like deep in that way, or anything.
It's like what's that movie that does that but better?
Total Recall?
Martin. Remember that Martin?
Oh, Martin is really good.
Martin's
the same thing, only it's yeah, I guess it is the same
because
thing.
it's unsure. Like, is his family keeps telling him he is, but like, is he?
I think it's like pretty. It's way more clear in Martin that you're not a vampire. You're just ill.
Well, yeah.
And have these urges. Whereas in this movie, they handle it better because you're only seeing it from Nick Cage's POV.
Yeah.
So you're fairly certain that he's not really a vampire, but there's nothing to refute that he's a vampire.
Yeah.
Except that none of it is working. And he's just... It's like a cover for a mental breakdown. He thinks he's a vampire.
Yeah. What if the movie was from somebody... Like, what if it was Office Space, but the boss was doing that in the background? Like, every now and then you do a scene where the boss
so great.
flipping the thing out.
Freaking out, jumping on top of the table. There you are! Dude, it was pretty funny. I had a good time.
It's definitely a movie that's, like, great to sit down and be like, alright, we're gonna get fucking weird here.
Yeah,
like,
it's a very strange movie.
It's a riff movie for sure.
I wish I wasn't... Well, that's not true, because it's fine. But I wish I would have written down some of the quotes, because they had me fucking cracking up, just like out of context.
Right.
Because I'm half watching it. I'm not really, like, super invested in it, not like my other two. But just some of the... I'm trying to remember, man. He's like, at the end... he thinks he's talking to his therapist. This is when it's clear that you're not a vampire, because he thinks he's talking to his therapist, but he's just talking like the corner of a building, and he's got a chunk of pallet. Like, but in his fantasy, he's all clean cut and better, but he still has the chunk of pallet in his hand in his fantasy. I like that a lot. It's funny.
It's definitely one of those movies though
where he's walking around. He's got clearly fake vampire teeth in, but he thinks he's a vampire, so he's like walking through the nightclub.
It's definitely one of those movies that you almost, it's almost unclear if they knew what they were doing.
Right.
It's. I think about that sometimes.
Nick Cage knew what he was doing.
Sure.
Because there's no way. He's like almost raising Arizona level of ridiculousness. So
what if the director knew what he was doing, but he didn't tell Nick Cage because he knew Nick Cage would go way too hard?
Would just go for it? Yeah. Hey, what if he told Nick Cage, like, hey, keep this one a little subtle? And then that's what Nick Cage did, and he was like, perfect.
Yeah, brilliant. God, if I told him to go out, all out.
Could you imagine?
Unfilmable.
You just show up in full Dracula Dead and Loving It costume. And...
Oh, we didn't bring up Dracula Dead and Loving It. It's pretty good.
It's alright. I always forget that it's a Mel Brooks movie because it's probably the weakest one.
That's fair. That's
fair. Whatever. When you make that fucking masterpiece, Young Frankenstein, it's all down.
When you're just like Young Frankenstein, Blazing Saddles, you can just chill now.
History of the World,
Part 1.
Dude.
There are winners 2. It's not done yet.
I don't know. Maybe they'll wait till we're in the future and he'll do.
Oh man.
The other one, Hitler on Ice. What's you ever see To Be or Not to Be?
Yeah,
that's a really good one too. That's a fucking remake, I guess.
Yeah, that's a one.
Which I just
that's one of those ones I haven't seen like enough. It's not like I've rewatched it on like.
That's a good one.
It's not.
I love a good like clusterfuck.
Sure.
Of like switching identities.
Yeah.
It's a whole mess, but accidentally gets handled.
The fucking the Coen Brothers formula almost.
Oh yeah.
Shit. Just shit blundering together.
Mm-hmm. A clusterfuck that rolls into at least somebody surviving.
Yes, hopefully.
Hopefully. Yeah, not all the time, I guess, but... yeah. So, Vampire's Kiss, or Kiss of the Vampire? I forget now. I think it's Vampire's Kiss.
I think it's Vampire's Kiss.
That is a fun one.
Mm-hmm.
I had a good time.
It's definitely infinitely riffable. Like, it's a perfect movie if you're going to sit down as a group and just, like, bust up about it.
It is by no means a piece of cinema to be studied and taken seriously. It's definitely just a bit of fun.
Maybe it is. Like, we need to get to the bottom of this.
Quit doing that shit, man. I don't fucking subscribe to that, you know?
Sometimes I just need to.
Sometimes I'm down for it, but, like, even so, I love RoboCop. I'm not going to sit here and break down why it's a masterpiece. Let's just sit here and say I'll buy that for $1.
Well, RoboCop's perfect. You don't need to break it down.
I don't need the fucking someone... idiot explaining to me the subtext of it.
I get it.
Watch it.
He's Jesus. I know.
I don't care. It's shittier that he's Jesus. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's
right.
Worse now.
I actually never bought that. I was always like, he's walking through the puddle. Like, shut the fuck up.
Like,
even who cares?
Which is weird because, like, you think that the director leaned into it after it was
maybe
kind of pieced up, and he was like, "Oh yeah, of course, it's Jesus. It's robot cop Jesus."
Knowing him, knowing fucking...
Why is his name?
Paul Verhoeven?
Paul Verhoeven.
Yeah, knowing Verhoeven, I could totally see him hearing it and going, that's interesting, sure.
That's exactly
I could totally
what
see
it is.
it, yeah.
Especially, like I said earlier, it's fucking art. You get to take whatever you want or whatever happens to you out of it.
Unless you're wrong.
Fucking Verhoeven.
And then I'll tell you.
Love Verhoeven.
But I'll go with my last movie, which is something I... really like I said, it's by the old boy director, who I forget. I'm sorry for my whiteness, but like Korean names are awesome to say. They bleed together for me. They're all like Hong Pak Ko and Bang Shan Yu, and they're awesome. I think Korean's like a fucking dynamite language.
It is cool
because it's all like but
it's very curt. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
it's
short to the point.
But I'm bad at it. I'm sure, it's one of those things I'm sure everybody's bad at it. Like, if you hear enough John Smiths, you're just like, whatever.
Yeah.
It's one of those white people names. But, yeah, I have just... So I
mean, most Asian people that I met sometimes have trouble saying my name.
Sure.
So it's just where culturally your mouth has trouble making certain noises. That's why Lovecraft is so cool.
Like I know the first part's park, but I can't remember the next two syllables.
Your shitty human mouth can't make sweet squid noises, so
it's all just relative noise.
it is.
But no, this
words
movie
are stupid, and I refuse to use them anymore.
It's 2009, so it's a little older.
Sure.
We graduated that year, didn't we?
We sure fucking did, buddy.
We sure did. We crawled through that one.
Yeah.
But it is called Thirst. It is definitely the best movie I'm discussing of my three by a long shot.
Okay.
It's fascinating. It follows a Catholic priest who's struggling with his whole faith. Everything's rough. The world, topical, didn't think about it until after, is in the grip of a pandemic.
Is it really?
A disease is wrecking people, and it's fucking people up. If you get it, you're fucked.
Oh, that sucks.
And our main guy gets it. And the whole first bit is him struggling through I'm gonna die. I need to get well with my faith.
What does this really mean? Yeah.
And then they're treating him. He's getting blood transfusions. And they say that they're strapped for essentially resources, so they're doing whatever they fucking can. They're getting whatever they can to give him.
But even so, it sounds like they're just delaying the inevitable anyway. So.
And then he makes a 100% miraculous recovery, and he's like, "Whoa!" And it's awesome. And his
is he the first person to have recovered?
Yes.
Oh.
Not just he's the first person to have survived and made a full just immediate recovery. Otherwise you're fucked with it. So he's like, whoa, and his congregation gets all they rally around him, and he's held up as kind of this spiritual figure for a while. Sure, yeah. And there's some fun stuff where he's kind of usurping attention from his actual minister of the church he works at. So there's kind of that. But then he starts getting sick again. And he's trying to keep it under wraps because he's like, well, I'm fucking all.
Oh shit! Right. It's dude, they're making a whole big deal about it.
Right. But
and
then,
mainly, you could do the thing too, where it's well, this is for them too. It's not just me. So
he's having that, and it's his faith is wavering, and then he straight up starts having weird urges, and then he blacks out and wakes up, and he's just drained some lady dry, and he's like, whoa.
Doesn't even think about it. Just...
Yeah, it's implied that he maybe got bad blood from the blood transfusions that they were giving him, because they were getting it from just any. They refer to it as any old place or some shit like that.
Dude, what a shitty vampire to go and just start donating blood,
right? Oh fuck!
To spread the infection,
he'd fuck everybody up. And there'd be so many deaths before they knew what was going on.
Yeah,
people just turning to ash.
That and it just start eating other people.
Yeah. Oh fuck. Yeah, fuck that.
Write that down. That's gangster.
But yeah, so
someone's gonna make a fucking gabillion dollars off of that.
A gabillion. They have to make a new number.
A metric gabillion.
But yeah, so he starts chilling out, and he's like, "What the fuck? What is this?" So he starts kind of doing the typical figuring it out. Oh, I'm a vampire. He very quickly kind of
right.
He very quickly accepts it, kind of. He's trying to figure stuff out, and he starts I can't remember if it's his doctor or something.
This is a world where vampires, people know what vampires are.
Yeah.
Okay. We haven't been covering that.
At least he I don't remember if he specifically states I've become a vampire, but he definitely understands kind of I need blood or my symptoms will come back.
Right.
Which actually raises a question that I always thought about the film was weird, that he's my symptoms will come back because he thought he was still sick. So it's is the shit spreading low-key vampirism? What's going on?
Right, and nobody's just cured it with feeding on blood.
It's one of those weird details. The whole fact that there's a plague going on also kind of drops away. It's fucking weird. It's kind of like Hotel Artemis, where you're
I never watched it.
Every now and then you're oh right, we're in fucking Cyberpunk Town. I forgot we're in the future.
I never saw it.
Pretty good.
That's the one with Jodie Foster and Batista and
But yeah, so he starts hanging out, and he's chilling with all these people, and he starts he meets, I can't remember who this is in relation to him, but he ends up meeting this dude's wife that he's close with.
Okay.
And she's bored with him. She's all whoa, this fucking pastor's he's got the vampire hotness,
Of course.
So he kind of
they're a sexy bunch.
They are. It's natural. It's just with it. And he's so they kind of start doing a thing, and what ends up happening becomes just this farce of him trying to deal with that and her being like, well, we should kill my husband. It turns into like a whole romantic...
Like Strangers on a Train?
Yeah, it turns into like a thriller. And cool. the mother-in-law with this family that they live with is kind of like, I don't fucking trust you. I think you're trying to fuck my daughter.
Yeah.
Or my daughter-in-law.
I ain't trying, baby.
There's a rad scene where he separates and he goes to hang out with his pastor and shit again, the minister, and the minister's like, dude, I know what you are. Like, I know your blood fixes it. You need to, like, give me some of your blood. And it turns into this whole thing. And the minister, like, it's like a breakdown of faith, and he ends up murdering the minister.
Cool.
But it's rad. It devolves into, like, I'm pushing first act shit, because I don't want to... the twists and turns of where, like, the relationships go, where the murder plot takes you.
It ramps up.
It ramps up so fucking hard. Like,
I'll have to check it out.
There's a great, like, he's clearly the superior. Like, he is stronger than... like, the girl that's, like, trying to manipulate him into doing shit for her. Like, we could be together, but this is, like, the guy's in the way. It's a fun dynamic shift in power where, like, she's leveraging him, but he's the fucking Dracula.
Right. Could just...
Snapper.
Kill both of them and start again somewhere.
It's fun. It's this really neat little, like, thriller. Everything he does is fucking rock solid, too. Fucking I looked at Park Chan-wook or whatever.
Okay.
But it's that old boy energy too. It's that fucking low key, super weird noir, weird shit coming in. Yeah,
it's like slow, but it feels
like
feels a
fast.
million miles an hour. Yeah.
Shit just goes, and honestly, they're just talking like you're like. Yeah. But no, yeah, Thirst is actually
the
super
camera
rad.
work, man. That like snappy, but like. Love a good smooth dolly shot. Yeah, no, and the ending of Thirst, like how it all pays off, is actually one of my favorite fucking like maybe romantic thriller endings to a thing. Like it's super good how it fucking all plays out. It's one of those things where I'm like, there's so much shit that starts happening once it ramps in that it's like, just watch it. Just watch Thirst. Trust me, Thirst is super. I love a good snowball. It's fucking good. Ew. 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 Not that one. Maybe that. Maybe. No, not that one. dude, it's I was talking about the coconut ones. I hate coconut. Yeah, not that. The Hostess coconut's not the. You know what? You know what you put in there. Oh man. Oh, but it's super rad. I honestly fucking love that movie. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. I've never seen it before. No, I think the title sounds familiar. Mm-hmm. But I mean, those one-word titles, is God knows. Have I heard that word before? It was funny when I was looking into it. It was almost called The Bat. But he was like, yeah, it's a little too. Yeah. They don't turn into bats. You're right. And honestly, bats have nothing to do with this except blood stuff. I wanted to watch, there's one with, I think it's called The Hunger, with David Bowie. Yes. And he's like, I couldn't find it anywhere. Yeah. I wanted to watch it because it was like, there's this female vampire lord and David Bowie is like her gopher, but he's getting sick and old, so he's like, she's trying to find a new one and he's like all shitty about it and jealous. And, sure. Yeah. It sounded really cool. Yeah. In any movie with David Bowie in it, I'm usually like, let's get this done. He was going to play the villain in Blade Runner 2049. He was going to play Jared Leto's part. You can totally fucking tell. Jared Leto is trying so hard. I am just pretending now that it was David Bowie in my mind. And it's even better than I already thought it was, which was really fucking cool. So, the end of that. It's one of those things where it's like, Jared Leto did fine, but like, you're like, he's man, if it was Bowie. It's only because it was a person doing that. Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't think he had anything to do with how cool it was. Yeah. It's like when you... I mean, I guess not downplaying Jared Leto. He doesn't really do anything for me in particular, but... He always tries. Fun. Yeah. He's always there. He's according to myth, he tries a little too fucking hard all the time. According to myth. Yeah. The lore. The Leto lore. the Leto lore. Duke Leto. That is a good fucking Earl Leto. The Earl of Leto. The Earl of Leto. Duke Leto is a Dune reference. Duke Leto Atreides. Leto the Second. So I think we're ready to move on to our real life ones. Oh yeah. And I've started. Let's get real. I started thinking that we maybe have the same guy. I'm wondering if we have the same event. I don't know. Maybe.
I was wondering because there's little moments where you mentioned it, and I was like, God, did we do the same guy?
Well, both of my things are not one person.
Oh, okay. Right.
So it's probably not.
Right. Oh.
Whose turn is it? Is it my turn?
Yeah, your turn.
It's fucking A, it's my turn. Alright, well, the first one I did, which led into my second one, was Nova. Nova.
Right.
It's the New Orleans Vampire Association.
Yeah.
Okay. You know about these people?
I know, I'm not that name in particular, but New Orleans actually has a couple weird, like they do the big annual Vampire Masquerade Ball.
Oh, really?
There's a healthy vampire scene.
There sure fucking is. Okay, how Nova works is there are, let me count here, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 houses of vampires.
Of course there are.
Right? There is I guess the head one, the House of Mystic Echoes.
Fuck yeah.
Who is led by... I have his name. Led by the founder of Nova. His name is Balthazar Ashantasan.
Oh, Jesus.
They call him Czar. Because who wants to fucking say that all the time?
Right?
It's mostly, that's like the all-inclusive house. Everybody, because they started to divide by their method of feeding.
Sure.
Balthazar is what they call a sanguine, who legitimately feeds on blood.
Right.
He's got donors. It's all voluntary, quote unquote. I'm watching you, Balthazar. No, there's plenty of people who are probably just like, no, totally drink my blood. This is awesome.
Balthazar, what's up?
Yeah, he doesn't have to hunt for sure. You got people probably around the block, especially nowadays in America. The people are like,
you think about it,
feed on me, bro.
They always portray like it's hard to be a vampire, but I'm like, nowadays,
probably
like,
great.
You could probably have a club.
Yeah, absolutely, and guess what? They do.
It's in New Orleans.
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
I don't know. Yeah, he heads up the House of Mystic Echoes. He is all inclusive under his house. It's just like, hey, let's all fucking
party
time.
Cool.
It's all good. There's another one called the Esoteric Gateway Order. Ego for short, obviously.
Of course. Jeez.
Headed by a lady named Jezebel de Luna.
Let me guess. Are they psychic vampires?
They are... I don't remember if it said. I think that's their high class one. That's their administration.
Sure.
Because it's invitation only.
Oh, fuck.
You have to...
I ain't getting there.
Hell no, you're not, bro.
See how you're dressed?
That's some fancy shit, man. You're under review for a full year before they extend the invitation even.
What was a year?
And that's who handles, like, the events and shit, I think.
Sure.
That's who, like, wheels and deals, rents out the places, make sure everything's good to go before they have, like, big balls or big events. Because they actually do some community outreach. Yeah. Like, they feed a lot of homeless people. They're doing some legit...
They feed on homeless people?
No. It's actually in Balthazar... Or, I'm sorry.
What a fucking... Yeah. That would be a great
Czar
fucking movie. Like a tabloid dude trying to get dirt on these guys. Like, no, they're just like really rad people.
Yeah, they're totally cool. They're feeding the homeless. Feeding on the No. They're just feeding. They got a soup kitchen. They're feeding the homeless. Well, because Balthazar, he lost everything in Katrina.
Right.
So I think he was working at, Target, and he was just like, dude, I lost everything.
Backstory for a bit.
I know, it's great. Well, that's the whole point. Every article I read was like, I don't think they get pissy, but they're like, dude, vampire media kind of gets old because everybody who comes to us think they're going to get superpowers. And we're just like, no, they have this, it's a physiological condition that I'm not sure if it's diagnosed or anything. I doubt it's diagnosed. But, they need to feed on various energies. They have some that are like, some is sexual energy, some is just touch.
Sure.
You know what I mean? They gotta touch you. Some is
sounds like
emotional.
People. Like just people.
It is just people.
Need to be around people.
But they just pinpointed like, if he's an extrovert, he needs to feed on people. I
definitely don't think it's diagnosed.
It's definitely not. Unless it's not diagnosed as vampire.
There's somebody who like Dr. Phillips, but it's like quote Dr. Phillips.
Doctor, yeah. You spelled doctor weird. He's like, nah, that's right, don't worry.
ER, doctor.
Yeah. Like, is there normally a K in doctor?
God.
Yeah, okay. So they have the third house is called House White Tiger, headed by Jade Gribinov.
Please tell me they feed on sweet kung fu.
And I thought the same thing. I was like, dude, please let this be Crouching Tiger, Hidden Vampires.
Whoa,
But-
fuck, where's that movie? I mean, there's definitely kung fu vampires.
That's why they're floaty and shit.
I actually almost,
Yeah,
side
Blade
note,
is a kung fu vampire.
on Netflix, there's actually, they're not vampires. It's pretty rad though. Side note, there's a fun zombie apocalypse show on Netflix that's like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, like 3 Empires era.
Oh,
like they're just dealing with.
Is that
It's called like Empires, I think.
It's Badlands. There's one called Badlands.
No, it's not.
Oh wait, no, that's not zombies. That's just regular like post-apocalypse kung fu.
Yeah, but it's pretty rad. There actually are a lot of kung fu vampire movies. Not
Makes
enough Jiangxi movies. The hopping vampires.
Hopping
Have you ever
vampires.
seen Jiangxis?
I don't think so.
Yeah, they're weird. They're like they have little the pointy foot booties, and they have like the little
like elf shoes.
they have the little caps with the ball on top, like Gohan used to wear in Dragon
That's
Ball.
not good.
And they have
Get it out
little
of my
they have
face.
little like seal papers, like they put these like sweet sorcerer papers on their face.
Oh yeah, like
But
I see like Japanese fucking.
But
magic
they're all riggered out, so they can't move too much. But they bound around, like they hop with their arms out to like try and grab people.
That's
and they
horrifying.
Look fucking silly. But they're like, yeah, they jump real fucking fast. They
Jump
like,
good.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So House White Tiger, they promote independence, self-sufficiency, individuality.
Sure.
They're trying to change the stereotypes. They're trying to change the stereotypes of vampires and just metaphysical and or magical community in general. Just trying to revamp it, I guess.
Revamp it.
I don't like it. I don't like what you're doing here. I'm just kidding. I love it.
It's vampire.
Vamp it up. It's a vamp lamp.
Vamp.
Turn it on.
Reveal the vamps.
Reveal the vamps. This is getting great. What is this? House Rakogzi? I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but it's headed by Mephistopheles.
Of course.
And they're all about decadence.
Hell
Like,
yeah.
and they were saying how they were trying to bring back the lifestyles of the.
Let's fucking go.
They have each on their website. They have. These are all summations of a little biography of the house that I've then paraphrased again. And there was something about, they're all about decadence, and there was something about certain high societies of old, they're trying to replicate that lifestyle, but mixed in with modern tech too. So he said he has 3 roads to whatever, I forget now. It's occultism, religious faith, and survival. Right? There was something I had on here. I forget
Call that.
Yeah. So, there's the House of Muses, headed by Lorelei, which is all the artists and musicians.
Rad.
They try to channel creativity out of the trials of life and, just artists.
Cool.
Vampire artists, which is
I like
awesome.
them.
Yeah, those are probably my favorites too. This one is just called House Greater Than. It's just the greater than symbol.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like the mouth.
Can I be them? Because I am greater than you.
The only thing it says is headed by John Greater Than. More content coming soon. That was the only thing it said.
Whoa, that's fucking.
So I was like, these guys are mysterious.
Yeah, what's going on there?
Yeah,
I
that's.
want to go to Mephistopheles. Like, yo, can I join your house? Like, well, how decadent are you? I ate 3 Hot Pockets last night for dinner because I was too lazy to
Get in here,
you son of a bitch!
you hedonistic motherfucker.
Open Hawaiian shirt. Like, what?
Ow! And then they bite you, and you're like, yeah, this did not go well.
Oh, it hurts for a little bit, but you know.
Oh yeah, and last one is House Ethereum, which is headed by a guy who calls himself Isildur.
Fuck yes.
But it's not spelled the same.
Oh well.
Because it's Isildur, not Isildur with a U. Destroy it. But yeah, and it says theirs was the longest because I think they're like a subsection of something else. It says they're an official chapter house of House Lost Haven, and it goes on to say that it's like we're devoted to making sure House Lost Haven is doing. I don't know. I didn't
see from another fucking group.
I think that's what's going on. Like there's
a crossover. Is there a cinematic universe with these like clubs?
There must be.
That's rad.
I have no idea. There's some definite. There's cooperation, yet there's got to be some dissent in the ranks. Otherwise, these separate houses wouldn't exist.
Yeah.
Balthazar said in some articles that I was reading that was like, well, as soon as we started arguing about the specifics of who's what kind of vampire, that's when the houses started to splinter, and it's like, we still work together in a lot of things, but as soon as we start concentrating on our differences, it divides us up. Well, he's a gay man, too, so he kind of says the same thing happens in the LGBTQ community as happens in the vampire community, where it's like, as soon as you start looking at how different you are is where you start to splinter, and then it's just like...
It's not good for anybody.
Exactly. You're not
going to finish this Thanksgiving dinner.
You don't get your plight out because you're too busy infighting nobody outside of you, which is...
It's what the man wants.
A solid point, you know, but I'm sure there's plenty of counter arguments for it, but...
I mean, you know.
Whatever.
Especially with, like, what the fuck is John up to?
Yeah, exactly.
Mr. Greater.
Is he hugging? I have to drink blood. You just get to hug people. Must be fucking nice for you. You know what I mean? So I see how it can come about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you have to deal with so much persecution.
Yeah. Like, oh, you have to fuck to get your energy? Poor you. I have to find someone to cut open.
Don't even get me started on the ghouls. Like, yeah, we have to eat people. Fuck off.
Yeah.
It's not fucking fair. We're not even called vampires.
I don't like human flesh.
It's like ghoul, like bald, eggy head, but with like a turtleneck.
Yeah.
I don't like doing it.
I don't like this. Yeah, okay, so it was founded by Balthazar Ashantasan.
Jesus.
Ashantasan, something like that. He says it's a physiological condition that you just don't have any energy unless you feed in some way, whatever works for you.
Sure.
That's how you have to feed. There's all sorts of types, like I was covering earlier. There's a sexual type. There's a pranic type, which is like physical touch, not necessarily sexual. Sanguine is actual feeding on blood. You know what I mean? And the way he does it, he says he makes an incision on the back of your shoulder and feeds from it. 2 to 6 ounces per feeding, 2 to 4 times a week. He's got a series of donors that they all get tested, like, I think it's like once every 3 months. Yeah. And this one was a little threatening. One of his quotes goes, "We are all around you. Some teach, some are in churches, they work in restaurants and bars."
Bro.
And which he's saying, we're just regular people. We just
No,
happen
he's
to,
not.
But
No, he's not.
Wait, out of the mouth of a vampire? That sounds super threatening.
Fuck, is outside the window right now?
We're everywhere.
We are.
That's what he says.
So we had to lead it like Balthazar.
And this,
that's fucking weird.
Yeah, he says from the shows can damage it.
It's so dark, Baldy.
They do a lot of community outreach. You know, it's mainly like feeding homeless, and Czar lost everything in Katrina, so I don't remember how he said it. He told Target about it, and they just sent him like garbage cans full of food, and he was like, fuck it, everybody needs this. Right. So he just started going out post the Katrina handing it out and feeding people, and now it's just become a thing where every Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, they feed the homeless.
Hell yeah.
And it says here, it was fucking awesome.
Feed on the homeless.
As he says, so we cooked it up and passed it out. The goal is a homeless shelter for LGBTQ and pagan youth, which I was like, pagan youth? Excellent fucking band name. So I had to write that down. So they're fucking doing good work out there, these vampires. I was trust them
one bit.
Dude, if they do a bunch of good work and then have to feed on people, occasionally there's plenty of people. I could give a
Unless you let me in and let me join.
Get down to New Orleans. I'll move there with you. I fucking love Bourbon Street.
I'll be in that the hedonism house. I'm already fucking borderline the fat guy with the grapes.
Sure. Yeah. You need a good layer downer, like one of those curly Greek ones, you know what I mean? The stone slabs.
Something I can just like lounge on.
Dude.
It'd be good for my back. Hell yeah.
Yeah, probably.
I'd be hype.
I'd be more down if we're going Greek. I want to be, I don't know. I need one of those leaf crown things for sure. Let's start there and then we'll work our way forward.
We'll figure out where we're going.
Yeah.
Right on.
Can I get goat legs?
Maybe.
That's Greek, isn't it?
Yeah. Satyrs.
Satyrs, yeah. Goat legs.
Fuck yeah.
For sure.
Can my vampire house be satyrs?
Yeah. I'm just going to walk around asking people, we're vampires. We don't know how to turn you into a minotaur. I don't know how that works.
We get our energy from like ripping on people. We're satyrs.
Yeah. Ow. Sorry, I hit my foot on accident.
Oh shit. Oh, that's rad. I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
I knew that there was like a weird like community, like healthy community of like different groups. Like I know Anne Rice does like the big, like she invites a bunch of people over for big balls and stuff. But yeah, of course.
I would love to go to a vampire ball, dude. How gangster would that be?
Fucking walk around with a mirror, just
dude, like really checking. That's funny.
That'd be you could show up but be like dressed like Van Helsing, like low key, and just keep checking me with mirrors. Like okay,
just like keep cocking the hammer with a gun.
Flintlock, like,
of course.
You fucking rate every time somebody talks to you, you're like yeah, you never cross like a little big like a
it's like it's crowded. You bump into somebody, a bunch of wooden stakes fall out of your coat.
you're at the, like the front desk checking, and you just keep pulling.
Like that scene from Thunderdome, like when they ask him and he's fucking out of his boots and shit, pulling everything out.
You go through the metal thing, you're like, oh, sorry, crucifix.
Yeah. You just see, you go to the punch bowl and look around, you got a flask with a cross drawn on it, you're just pouring water in it, looking around.
You watch it eyeballing people drinking out of the punch bowl.
I noticed there's no garlic. No, it's on the table.
That's fine. Jumping up. I brought my own.
Brought my own whole cloves of garlic.
Fuck.
That sucks for humans too. It's so strong.
So yeah. You get like false reads off people all the time because they're like, you're like, you steak them.
Like no, you just put so much garlic.
So much garlic, dude. I hate it.
That's how I know my wife's not a vampire. That bitch is all about the garlic.
Fuck. Just don't let anybody in. Just never invite them in.
I never invite anybody to do anything.
Right?
I'm just like, yeah, you can. Oh shit. Maybe that is an invite. I'm like, yeah, you can come if you want.
That is.
That's an invite. Fuck.
That totally is. A little too open.
Is it? Here's a question. If you had the door open and a vampire was standing there, if you said, are you coming in or what? Is that an invitation in?
Ooh, man. Do you gamble? Do you gamble your life away on that choice?
Because I am just not asking you.
Yeah.
Because what if you're a vampire?
Right. I don't know. Just leave the door wide open, sit in a rocking chair.
Because after they're in, they can just come in whenever the fuck, right?
Mm-hmm.
After they get invited in once?
Yeah.
I wonder if that's just code or physical, like...
Yeah, they always tend to have an issue with it.
Yeah.
I know that's, in the Fright Night remake, they make a big plot point out of that.
Really?
It's pretty great.
I never watched that one.
It's actually super solid.
I've seen the ending of it on TV once.
He blows up their house.
Yeah.
He starts ripping up gas pipes until the house blows up. Because he's like, I'll just fucking detonate your house.
Yeah, I'll live.
Which is great. Well, that's how he's like, I'll just get in. Because there won't be a house once I'm just going to keep going. It's kind of like when you're like, oh, we can just hang out on the roofs, and the grab boys are like, we'll just tear the business.
Yeah, we'll just fucking eat everything until it's only you.
We'll get to you.
We'll eat you.
Oh, man. So, I was looking at people, and I wanted to avoid, like, people like Elizabeth Bathory, who was like, the lady who bathed in blood, because she's like, she's like this, honestly, it's like Vlad Tepes, Elizabeth Bathory.
Yeah.
But I found
the two famous real vampires. Very metal.
Very metal.
But not for today.
So I found this guy named Richard Trenton Chase. And I'll show you the picture. He is skeezy.
I know this guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, not personally, but yeah.
So this dude is interesting. I got really into his life. He was like at a very early age, he was like a hypochondriac. Like he was always saying shit was wrong with him. But some of his noted ones was he said his heart had just stopped beating. He's like, yeah, sometimes it just doesn't beat. It hasn't beat for like a week. He would just say shit like that. Or that someone had stolen his pulmonary artery.
Just stolen it?
Just took it.
And only that one?
It's so weird.
Alright.
They said they would catch him holding oranges to his head because he was absorbing the vitamin C, like straight out of them.
He got a new...
Yeah, he said he could perform diffusion, like, at will. Like, he could just drain shit out of things. Which, if he was a vampire, maybe.
Maybe. He's like a Morbius vampire.
Yeah. He also, he was obsessed with the idea that his skeletal structure was reforming. He thought his cranial bones had separated from, like, the rest of his head.
Right.
So he would habitually like shave his head to try and watch the plates move around.
Jesus.
Yeah, he was fucked.
I haven't looked at this guy in a long time. I think I listened to a true crime podcast.
Probably. But he like bailed. He tried to live with different people. They always kind of kicked him out because he did nothing but LSD and shave his head and fucking diffuse oranges.
Well, that kind of explains some of the thinking he was under.
Right. So, eventually he started doing what all horrible serial killers do and just started disemboweling animals.
Every time. Yeah.
He would catch animals, disembowel them, devour them raw.
Jesus.
He would mix, this was an interesting one that I found, he would mix the raw organs with Coca-Cola in a blender and then drink, like, down that
Why do you gotta
shit.
say that? I'm drinking Coca-Cola, like, as you say that.
Where do you think I put it in?
Son of a bitch. I put whiskey in it. And it came straight from the can, so.
Best way to get it down.
That's how you do it. You go Coke, you go 2 parts Coca-Cola, 3 parts animal guts, 5 parts whiskey.
One of my favorite notes about
choice.
that is he was asked why, and he was like, well, it keeps my heart from shrinking.
That's fair.
I love this. So he...
It's only animals.
Eventually somebody was like, you need to check you in.
Yeah. You just ate my... You blended my dog, dude. What are you doing?
He kept going. He would catch rabbits and take their blood out. Like, he was stealing syringes so he could drain rabbits of blood.
Oh, okay.
And he would inject it right into his veins. He would snap birds' necks and drink it right out of the neck stump, like fucking Renfield style.
Dude.
He even, this was fun, he would sneak time with the therapy dogs and would take blood and some sort of, like, siphon blood out of the therapy dogs. Like, fucking what?
Oh my god.
No, it's so nuts. I love this
He's
guy.
into it.
He's so into it. So then eventually they gave him, he got him on medication, he leveled out, they gave him to his mom, and then his mom thought it was like a good idea to wean him off the meds because he was too much of a downer.
Fucking anti-vaxxers, dude.
Dude. So then eventually, guess what? He fucking became a problem again immediately.
Yeah.
Nobody was checking on him. His mother had...
It's like, yeah, you're fine now.
Yeah, you're good. I'll take your medication away. All right, bye. Live in this apartment alone. Because fucking,
dude.
Yeah.
Fucking are so dumb.
And then, this should have thrown him right away. He was found later wandering the streets with 2 buckets full of blood. He was covered in blood, head to toe. And they found out he had fucking raided a farm. And he had, like, it was a bunch of cow blood. Like, he just butchered a cow, like, cut its throat.
And he just was like, dude, this will last me a while.
And they took his blood away. They like, no charges were filed. Sent him home.
No charges were
No charges filed. He just sent him home.
When was this?
77.
The picture looked like not from the 40s or anything, so.
Yeah, he was apprehended in 78. So this would be like, the cow blood incident would be the step before he started doing hard.
Bro, Zodiac was around?
Right?
What are you doing?
Put him in a box.
Somewhere. Fuck me.
And then, it's like, despite that, you expect him to be full-bore Dracula, right? So, his first victim was actually a drive-by shooting. He just drove by and, like, shot them on the street and left them there, which I was like, cool, right on. A 51-year-old
That's not cool
dude.
at all.
Yeah, right? So, then he started a series of kind of, like, breaking and entering. He would break in. He would usually try and get a mother or a woman who was alone, and he would kill her, butcher her, and, necrophile her all up and down. Drink the blood, spread the blood around.
As you do.
He also had, like, a weird fucking habit, like, he would kind of, like, he would, like, piss and shit on everything, like, he would soil everything in the house.
There's something...
It's so weird.
Something with that. There's a couple other things that I've heard that are, like...
He did that for everything. He every time he did it, he would like bam, bam, bam.
Is he fucking coming on stuff?
Oh, of course, coming in and on this lady. He was also real fucked up. If anybody was in the house, he'd kill everybody. Like, real piece of shit. Like,
clearly not a role model.
It goes from being like fun siphoning blood out of therapy dogs, and then it just turns into full bore butcher.
Not sure how that's fun, buddy.
It's fun in that sense of like
it's fun that it's not whole families being butchered. I
relative
guess.
fun.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Like,
through the scope of Richard Chase's life.
Like if I was watching a John Waters movie about a guy who's like, well, I need to blood out of this therapy dog.
Fair enough.
I'd be like, lovable weirdo.
I don't know. Fucking Divine is kill everyone now. Yeah, all right.
Why not, Divine?
Advocate first degree murder. But she is awesome. She's a crazy drag queen who I wish wasn't passed on so she could become an apocalypse warlord.
Could you imagine, like, I just started imagining, like, her dying and turning into stars and going up and, like, Dragonheart, and then it was like,
she's a constellation now.
And everybody's like, oh man, Divine, you
fucking Divine's so cool. Anyway.
So, yeah, he kept doing this, and there's not much to say about that.
Whole families, huh?
Like, 2 or 3. Like, just, like, woman, kids, gone.
What was his...
Usually when the husband was out, or if there was no husband.
Yeah.
Definitely pick them.
That's a common trope, too.
Definitely. Well, yeah, why would you?
They're not stupid, they're just nuts.
Mm-hmm. He actually... where did I put it? Yeah, this was actually neat. If you brought it up. If he would only... Also, the doors had to be unlocked. He would never break into a house if the front door was locked, because that to him was
vampire shit.
Don't come in. But if the door was open invitation. Like, oh, I can come in. You obviously didn't lock. You don't want you want people to be able to come in. He like rationalized it. He didn't follow that rule like too hard, but it was still interesting that if the door was locked,
it's a natural progression of that.
He would not force in, like, which was interesting.
That's some fucking straight up vampire shit.
He might be a fucking vampire. So then he eventually he fucks up. Somebody knocks while he's there. He tries to leave, steals a car, tries to take one of the bodies with him. Police very quickly get him, find out he's been leaving just very clear bloody handprints with fingerprints intact all over the place. He's very quickly...
Which he should... Well, this is in the 70s.
Right.
So they should have print processing, and he's been processed because he was in care.
Yeah.
So, how to get to 3 houses? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It was a very short time, it looks like.
Oh, he was just fucking...
It was like December he shot a person, January he did his first, January 23rd, then 27th, and then like shortly after, caught. So it was like a spree.
Just
like
a couple days.
Yeah. But eventually they caught him, and unremarkable, they just kind of arrested him, but it wasn't until they went to his house. They opened the door. Front door, fine. The entire house coated blood. Like, he had soaked the carpet, the walls were fucking splattered with it everywhere, everything was covered in blood. They found that this fucker had been his refrigerator inside and out, blood. They even found that all of his eating and drinking utensils were soaking in blood that he had been collecting from different sources.
Jesus,
this guy was living in like a blood room. Like,
this is the part that I remember. It was like not even... No little spot was not blood.
Yeah, it's the amount of blood is fucking
like
ridiculous.
I remember coming across this and thinking about him doing that in detail, like getting the big chunks done, and then just going around with like a little finger or a little brush or something, and finding every little not blood space and covering it up.
This was adapted into
horrifying
a movie,
to me for some reason.
Was it Rampage? Is some movie? I don't think I've seen it.
Oh yeah, with The Rock and the.
It's got Michael Biehn.
Based off the video game with the giant monkey and the crocodile.
Wow,
I didn't know that was the same thing. That's weird.
I mean, yeah, the scene where The Rock is just buckets of blood.
Buckets of blood, yeah. Then he goes out and fights a giant crocodile.
Oh man, yeah. But from there on in, after his bust in that weird house, he, was weird. He was often interviewed by, not Art Bell, but people like Art Bell, UFO enthusiasts.
Art Bell's got too much class for that shit.
He's afraid of paranormal. Yeah. But yeah, people, he was very convinced. He would often say, like, well, the Nazi aliens put me here, or they're out to get me. Like, he always had, like, weird shit.
Fucking acid when you're dropping LSD constantly.
But yeah, he said that they had made him this. He was asking to be given a radar gun so he could track the UFOs, and he tried to...
give him one, who cares?
He tried to convince them he just would dump out handfuls of macaroni and cheese on the tables.
Cooked or uncooked?
Cooked. Like, he's like, I haven't been eating. I've been just fucking hiding it, because they're trying to poison me.
Oh, smart.
But yes, thankfully he ended up offing himself a couple years after the fact, saving up his antidepressants and then just downing them.
Doing them all.
But yeah, so that's Richard Chase, a fucking wacko of man. If you look up
what was his serial killer name? Did they give him
the
one?
Vampire of Sacramento.
Vampire of Sacramento. Oh, he's in Cali, too.
Other names, Dracula Killer, Vampire of Sacramento.
He's a Dracula killer? He's on our side.
Fuck.
What if it was all vampire blood? Nobody even considered that.
They got him, dude.
Did they?
They got him. That's actually a side note. It's probably not going to be made, but there's a script out there in the ether that Max Landis was working on that I'm actually like super into called Splatter, which is about a guy who wants to kill people, but he's like fights those urges until he runs into vampires that are actually a lot like the ones we're going to discuss. Like, they're kind of like trashy white trash vampires.
Oh, cool, yeah.
So he starts just murdering them in like horrific ways because he's like, well, you guys aren't going to die.
Scratch his itch.
Yeah, and that's what the movie's about, is serial killer versus vampires. And I'm like, please fucking get me.
That's pretty cool.
I'd be hype about it.
Sure.
But that's my real life instance.
Yeah, that dude's a fucking nutcase. I've heard about him before. I think I touched on him. There was a couple years ago, where it's like true crime podcast was my fucking jam. That's all I was doing. And I fucking brained so much of that shit that I have to be reminded. It's like the Matrix now, where I have to be like, I know how to fly a helicopter. You just have to remind me.
Sure.
Oh yeah, I have a second one. Okay.
Yeah, right on.
So while I was researching the Nova, the Houses of Nova, which is a cooler name than their bullshit, but I came across these two guys, the Carter brothers.
Yeah.
You read about these guys?
Yeah.
Where so this was 1932 in New Orleans, also, of course, because that's fucking Vampire City, baby. This young girl comes walking out of a building covered in blood with her wrist cut.
Right.
And she, they take her to the hospital right away. And she says that these two guys have just had her upstairs and they've been feeding on her for a couple days now. And everybody's like, huh?
Yeah, what?
And then, so they bring a bunch of cops to this spot and they bust the door open and nobody's there. They're at work.
Right.
They just work at the docks.
Sure.
I guess. I think it was the docks. And there's like and reports conflict a little bit because I read two different articles and it was conflicting a little bit, so who knows what's hearsay and what's actual truth and blah blah blah. But there was some like 15 bodies in there.
Sure.
And 3 of them, not counting the girl, were still alive. So they got them out of there and they set a trap with like somewhere like 10 or so like big burly cops, set a trap for them there, right? And when these buttfuckers come home from work, right, they escape. They knock out cold 4 big ass cops, and
they're fucking Draculas.
That's what they're saying. And they said that they were regular sized guys. They didn't look big or strong or anything. And they had some fucking monster beefeater motherfuckers waiting for them. Knocked 4 of them out cold. Right. Escaped off their balcony, jumped down off of I think it was just the 2nd floor, so nothing too crazy, and then they just disappeared into the fucking night. Holy fuck. But they got arrested because they showed up for work the next day, and the cops were there, and they were just like, hey, you're going to jail, bud. And they were like, fair enough.
We brought 20 dudes this time.
Yeah, exactly.
No balconies here.
No balconies here, you son of a bitch. And so they were executed. Tried, I don't think for very long. They were executed, hung in the town square as far as two brothers. I forget, it was Wayne and John. Wayne and John Carter. I know, because I was like, Little Wayne the Carter. And then John Carter of Mars. That's how I remember his names.
I was thinking John Wayne Carter.
Oh, yeah, okay.
John Wayne.
Motherfucker, I went 2 ways separate ways. I went Little Wayne and fucking John Carter of Mars. Anyway, that's how wide my tastes are, motherfucker. Anyway, so they executed him, hung him in the town square. They used to put people. That's my ringtone, everybody. It's from Black Mirror, the B one. That's that one right there. So they executed him, and here's the thing that they did in New Orleans, whenever they buried somebody suspected of being a vampire, is the carriage who hauled the bodies to the crypts would take weird ass ways through town, so the vampires would get confused and wouldn't know their way back to their house.
Awesome.
Yeah, and this was common practice.
Right.
They just did this.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. What are you gonna do? Let vampires know
beat up 4 of our big boys.
Yeah, come on. And this was all vampires, not just these 2 guys. This was like anybody even suspected of being a vampire. Better safe than sorry.
And Morty, he's weird.
Yeah, it's just fucking, you never do know.
That's like there's a similar story I heard. I can't remember names or anything, but they were talking about. I guess there was this couple. They were out for a while, and somebody had like gone up to their house, and there was like a well-known like kind of wealthier couple, and they just discovered, just like. Or no, it wasn't they discovered. It was that there was this wealthy couple and like a fire happened. Like one of their servants actually knocked something over and caught fire to the building.
Oh, okay.
And it burned down. And when everybody went in to clear out the wreckage, they just found like the remains of dozens of fucking horribly tortured and mangled fucking bodies.
Oh, fuck.
And the couple had been on their way home at that point, and they had arrived at the scene of like them still trying to sort out what had happened.
And just bolted?
They just got on a carriage and they fucking vanished. No one ever found them.
I have to look that up.
I have to find it too. It's like it's some old New Orleans like ghost story about this fucking weird. It sounds like don't go to New Orleans if you're time traveling, because everyone is butchering people in their buildings.
Sure. Well, them fucking bayous, dude. Okay, that's my vampire story's not over yet.
Oh shit!
Because
they came back.
They buried those people.
Right.
And here's where the reports really start to differ, because either they exhumed them to find out why the fuck they were feeding on a bunch of people, or they opened the crypt to add another body to it. But when they dug them up, they weren't fucking there.
Dude, fuck.
And no trace of them, no nothing. It hadn't been long enough to fully decompose or anything.
Oh, fuck.
They just weren't fucking there. And nobody ever saw them again.
They're going under the names of Balthazar and Mephistopheles.
In New Orleans.
Didn't have to move very far.
There's sightings of them everywhere because of just ghost sightings. People are the people who own the house now that they lived at say is like, hey, sometimes we'll see 2 guys sitting out there and they'll just hop over the balcony and disappear in thin air. So
move.
Yeah, and one of the survivors of their initial finding, I guess, their initial uncovering of their heinous acts. One of them turned to blood drinking, killed like 33 people, and they found his journals and shit that detailed all these fucking ridiculously horrible, blood-curdling dreams that he was having. He killed like 33 people, and he vanished. They couldn't find him. So...
Dude, it's in their blood.
It's fucking nuts.
Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah. I think vampires are fucking real. Some of them, not all of them.
I think those are the realest ones we've talked about. Holy shit. No, that's fucking horrifying.
It is nuts. The Carter brothers. Look them up,
I knew of them as, like, killers, and I had seen it pop up when I was looking at this stuff. I did not know fucking... They had disappeared from their crypt.
Yeah. They were gone.
Holy crap.
And it said explicitly without a trace. Like, it didn't like they decomposed or anything. They were motherfucking gone out of it.
What the unsolved mysteries was like, the Carter brothers disappeared without a trace.
Yeah. Help us find them.
Oh, man. Well, that's our movies and our real events.
And our real ones now.
We discuss.
For the main
event?
Oh, just the main in general.
Oh,
The main slice of pie, you know what I mean? The water main.
Water
You know? That wasn't a good one.
I had teased this a couple episodes back, in case anybody wanted to watch with us, but we watched the movie Near Dark, which I picked over Shadow of the Vampire, because I thought it was a little bit better than Shadow of the Vampire. Also, I hadn't seen it in a while, and I knew Zach might get a kick out of it.
I had never seen it before.
Yeah,
I've known about it for a long time.
It's almost like the motif I want to keep. Is like try to find something.
My favorite thing. Every movie that I've watched so far in this show, every single episode, I've never seen any of these movies before.
Right on.
And I thought I was a movie guy, but it's clearly there's just too many movies, man. It's the problem.
Well, yeah, it's like hundreds a year.
No, at least
Most of them don't matter.
I think I have the same cover.
But yeah. So I guess like fresh off, what did you think of Near Dark?
I thought Near Dark was pretty fucking gangster. There was some problems a little bit that I had with it, but nothing that near hindered my enjoyment of the movie.
For anyone who doesn't know, Near Dark is a movie. I looked up her name, but I forgot. We've been talking for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Notably a female director. But it is a movie about a man named Caleb meeting a girl named May. They kind of sparks happen.
They hit it off.
May turns out to be a vampire and turns Caleb so that he'll hang out with him. He gets kind of roped into her weird fucking family that lives out of an RV.
I think it was like maybe she was gonna feed on him.
Yeah.
But then kind of like took a liking to him.
She likes him.
Yeah. So then it was like, well, rather than that, I'm gonna ruin your life instead.
Yeah, it basically is.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Bites him, takes off. He gets abducted by the weird vampire family in the van because they're like, you've seen at least close to where we're hanging out.
Yeah.
So they abduct him, which is witnessed by his family.
Yes.
His father and young sister, who then embark on a quest to find who abducted their son.
We mentioned it, and I couldn't remember where it was going. Yeah, the cop with a bite on his hand or the wounded never fucking comes back.
They don't, do they?
Never comes back. If you wanted to do After Dark, you could totally...
Yes.
He's probably too old at this point, but it'd be rad as hell to, like, open with, like, a cop. Like, do a split timeline where it's, like, it's him after he left that encounter with the kid.
Yeah.
And you just do a whole different vampire movie.
And he's running into them, too, and, like...
He's dealing with some shit.
Because it's, like...
It's weird.
Why does he have it?
Yeah, it's in frame, too. Yeah, it's super weird.
And I had forgotten all about that until you said something.
But yeah, and it's Caleb is sort of ingratiated into the family,
the brood,
the hierarchy, the brood, and what their rules are, and they kind of give him like a week to be like, you need to fucking kill somebody.
Prove yourself that you are a valuable member of our
team
pack, so to speak. Yeah.
But yeah, it's rad. I like that movie a lot.
It was fucking very cool. Like I said, I'd known about it for a long time. Especially there's a killer scene in a bar.
Yeah.
That they all just go in and just pretty much lock the doors with these 5 people are in there, 4 or 5 people,
a little bit,
and they're just gonna sit there and play with their food until they eventually kill and feed on everybody and burn the bar to the ground.
Yeah, Bill Paxton doing the Spurs thing on the bar top. Dude, is like that's the image, like trailer image. That's what everybody knows.
That's what I remember too.
Bill, he's like the poster child of this movie. Like if you look at covers and stuff,
fucking kills it.
He's rad. We called him the wrong name the whole movie.
Yeah. I thought we thought his name was Nightmare because I think we misheard some dialogue when they're introducing everybody.
Yeah.
And
his name was like Severin.
Yeah, his name was Severin, but he must have said something like, "I'm your worst nightmare" or some shit like that because we were like, we thought his name was Nightmare.
It's pretty fun. We kept Nightmare's rad.
Yeah, Nightmare's awesome, dude. He's pretty cool.
But yeah, no, the cast is fucking nuts. Bill Paxton is Severin.
It's an Aliens.
Yeah, Lance Henriksen
reunion
is what is his name? Jesse.
His name is Jesse Hooker, I think.
Yeah, and he's an old Civil War vet from the Confederate.
For the South. That's right.
And you get God, I forget her name. She played Vasquez in Aliens.
Vasquez. What did I call her? Rodriguez or something.
Rodriguez, yeah.
Yeah.
And she plays Diamondback.
And the lady. The love interest from the Lawnmower Man plays May.
She's May, and some kid. I don't know this kid. I've never seen him again. He looks like Little Pete from Pete and Pete.
The Danny Tamborelli.
Yeah. He looks like him.
Not Danny Tamborelli.
It's definitely not. Way too old, but
yeah.
He looked like him.
I think he's probably been around.
Mm-hmm.
But he's
Homer.
Homer. He plays Homer, who is kind of like an Interview with the Vampire. Kristen Dunst's character is like an old, hundreds of years old in a little kid's body, which has got to suck.
Yo, fucking horrible. You can't.
It's got to be the worst thing ever.
Fucking bone. You can't do nothing. You can't
like
even get
you can
fun.
do all these things, but you spent. Not only are you having to hide because you're a motherfucking vampire, but you also just aren't legally allowed to do anything.
Yeah,
everyone's gonna look at you funny in a bar. You're never gonna be able to hit on any women or anything.
Nobody's gonna bang you.
You're a little boy.
Yeah, it's weird.
It is the worst. There's an episode of Highlander like that too, where a little boy is an immortal, and he has to be all crafty with his kills.
Just fucking take me. Just fucking put my head off.
Yeah, we were talking too when we were watching it about, like, man, there's so many pieces of shit around here, and everybody is feeding on nice people.
Yeah, right?
Like, real cool people.
It's like, come on. Except for, technically,
Jesse and Diamondback.
They killed the robbers.
Yeah, they get... People try to carjack them, and they just feed on them.
Sure.
That's fine. Totally cool. Because they were going to carjack them and rape Diamondback.
I mean, but they were the carjacking occurs only after they let the kid in. There was like a hitchhiker. They thought they were just picking a dude up. So it's like,
which we're also just gonna eat him too.
We can't give them too much fucking credit.
No, it's not their fault, but by happenstance they had the right idea.
Scum off the planet.
Yeah. But they kill that fucking rad truck driver guy who was just teaching them how to engine brake and cab brake and trailer brake properly.
Which kind of comes back later.
It's fucking weird. Right, it comes in handy.
It's so weird.
That's a tight ass script.
It's got tight parts.
Yeah, it is good.
It's got some fun things like when he's like feeding off May, like because Caleb's like kind of like bitches out a lot.
Caleb's a pussy, yeah.
And he has to like May has to kill people and drink so he can drink off of May.
Yeah.
But that's that nice scene where it's the oil field and the shit's pumping while he's drinking.
Yeah.
It's like a nice little,
good little visual cue there. Very, very
I love that they always have just wads of like because they're tooling around in an RV and they have to torch it because it's been
various vehicles. They have
they switch
like,
around a lot. And they have a dwindling supply of like spray paint, duct tape, and tin foil
that they're trying to keep out the sun so they can still kind of move during the day.
Where they're driving and everything's blacked out except for maybe this much of a windshield, like a tiny strip, and Lance Hendricks is just covered in a blanket and goggles, and he's just like, no, I love the dirtiness of the movie a lot.
Yeah.
Like it's super gross. It's fun to watch. Like I was saying, like the spectrum, like Near Dark is maybe one of the only times I think I've seen like weird, dirty, white trash, like Midwest Southern vampires.
Yeah, it's the only movie I watched in this particular run that had non-mega wealthy vampires.
Right? It was interesting to be like, oh, they've just been scrounging for centuries.
Which is kind of begs the question, because you can kind of see in the bar scene that Lance Hendrickson pulls out like a substantial wad of cash.
Right.
When just before they slit that waitress's throat, and nobody reacts the way I thought someone should react, at least. Everyone just kind of is like, huh.
It's a casual, when somebody casually slices a throat and starts pouring into a cup.
Maybe it's a hardcore area, literally a little more cutthroat than I was ready for. But, so I'm thinking maybe that's just how they choose to live. Not that they have to live scrounging or anything. They just choose to live on the move. Just
I always
taking,
like to think it's like maybe like I always like watching it. I love to think that there might be vampires somewhere that are super well off.
Oh sure,
and they just figured it out. And like Lance Hendrickson's just like an old shithead from the fucking South.
Absolutely.
He's never fucking he can't because they kill very like they go into a town like and what did they kill? They killed the trucker, the robbers, the two ladies, and that guy who stops to check on
that old guy.
6 people one night in like a close area.
Yeah.
It's almost
they
like
moved to the bar, or that might be the next day.
It's the next night, yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost like they can't. Everywhere they go, they fucking go nuts. But Paxton didn't need to kill 2 people.
No, they just... That's a thing that I brought up when we were watching it, too, was like, there's no way that they, like, properly fed on the people in that bar.
No.
They just like killing people, which is probably why there's on the move. They don't...
They're kind of fuck-ups. It's weird.
Well, I think it's more, too, that they're just having more murder fun with being a vampire than, like, a stuffy... high society vampire would, who's more classy
about it. It is just fun. It's, like, funny that Lance Henriksen is so... he's so, like... There's rules, and you gotta watch out for us, and we look out for each other. You're part of the family, and then they're just so fucking chaotic about everything.
And it's pretty easy to get them to abandon one another too.
Yeah, well,
so
jeez.
that shoot out with the cops.
Yeah, they get like traced to a building, and the cops
because they're not being careful whatsoever,
and it makes you wonder, like, how the fuck have you lasted so long?
Being immortal,
right? Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Getting out of it by a hair, or like spraying.
Yeah, exactly. Just feeding and being
right.
better.
That's what's so fun. We were talking about it because, like, it's like you get these vampires who are so like stuffy or like introspective, and they get to that lethargy of it.
Yeah.
And you get fucking Bill Paxton, who's probably been doing this for 100 years and just never stops fucking having a blast.
Yeah,
murdering people.
The best.
And it's probably like I think that's the spectrum. It's like, do you get too like hung up on like the philosophy of it? Or do you just go fucking balls wall?
Yeah.
Well, fuck it. Whatever.
Tough
They're
call,
cattle, man. Rip them up.
Tough call.
I got spurs.
Yeah, I got spurs. I'll cut everybody's throat with spurs. He likes some spurs. And honestly, when he gives away his one spur to Caleb, I was like, one spur is cooler than two spurs.
Well, asymmetrical design is always
nice. Super rad.
Yeah, but that movie, Near Dark's funny. And then it's mostly like a romance, kind of.
There's the central driving force. I would say a romance. Yeah.
It's a movie that's like that romance is kind of weak in a bit. It's like they set it up.
It's just regular
it's
movie
just there,
romance.
Yeah, but it's like supposed to be the reason he's there. That he's a vampire. They kind of hook him with it. Too.
That part is shifting. Like that's how he got there. But after he gets turned, it's like, well, no, this is just my life now.
He has nowhere to go. Yeah, he can't get out.
I guess it's cool that, this cute girl is also into me, so I have like a vampire mate. Right. So I think it just kind of fell into place in that way. But man, fucking Lance Henriksen nails it, huh?
Oh yeah, well he nails everything. They all do, honestly. I don't think there's a really bad person in the movie. That one guy in the bar that fucking does not do anything to deserve getting murdered.
No, none of them do.
No, nobody does. But it's just funny how like punked he is by Bill Paxton the whole time.
He keeps his cool for a lot longer than anybody in that situation would. Like your average trucker hat sitting at a bar and some. Bill Paxton is dressed like a punker. Oh yeah, you know what I mean.
He's like almost borderline his guy in Terminator.
Yeah, it's Sans Mohawk.
Sans Mohawk,
and he's just talking mad shit, and this guy's just kind of like swallowing it. He knocks his shot over,
bro,
and
he didn't die. He just moved to California or whatever, and he didn't die until the Terminator punched his heart out, man. That's it.
He just kind of crawled away, healed up.
Yeah, and then he got staked in the heart by a robot.
Yeah, fuck. Is that how he died? He punched him in the...
It might not have been him. He punches somebody through the heart.
Yeah, he does. I have to look that up.
But yeah.
That's fun. Bill Paxton is the only person to be killed by a predator, an alien, and a Terminator.
Yeah. And a vampire now.
And a vampire.
Well,
he gets killed by regular.
That's a weird detail. Once everything kind of dissolves with the family, like Caleb kind of bails.
Okay.
His family shows
like I said earlier, his dad and his little sister are tracking him down and trying to find him because the cops are just like, dude, he got abducted. I don't know what the fuck to tell you, man. Yeah. We got stuff to do.
We're not doing nothing about it.
And he's also not like a little kid. You know what I mean? So
he's
it's like,
adult man.
Dude, there's kind of not really anything we're trying to do about it. Dad is not having that. So these guys go track him down. Eventually finds him by happenstance. They're staying at the same motel. And the little kid vampire, Homer, is trying to... He sees the little sister and is like...
My shot.
There it is. If I turn her, we can both be hundreds of years old little kids, and as long as we're sharing the same situation, it's going to be cool. But it's not cool because she's what? 10?
Yeah, what are you going to talk about with her?
And you're 200?
Yeah, it's like...
Talking about it is the least of the worries. What are you... How can you feel good about what you're definitely planning to do?
Well, he's a monster, yeah.
It's true, they're all super monsters. That's an interesting... Speaking of the spectrum of vampirism, is like... Some of the vampires kind of feel reluctance when they have to feed and kill, and others, like these guys, are just like, no, we're just going to fucking wipe the floor with everybody. Mm-hmm. So that's fun.
Well, that's the interesting thing too. Is like May does it out of necessity.
Yes.
I don't you don't get enough of Homer to really know how he feels.
No.
He's fine with it, but
I feel like he just gets by on trickery and
yeah. Jesse and Diamondback, they get kicks. It almost seems we don't get enough of. I mean, they're ruthless. They don't give a shit.
Obviously, yeah. No question.
None of them have as much fun fucking murdering as Bill Paxton does.
No.
He gets so cleaned up to pick up those chicks in that one bit. He's so nice looking. Yeah. And it's like, who told him? Did he? I think he just did it. He was like, I'm gonna fucking get real cleaned up.
He's like, you know what? I'm gonna do this one.
I feel like they're kind of handsome today.
I'm gonna do the old, the Texas two-step is what I call this one.
It's so good. Yeah, it is weird too. They're all monsters in the sense that they don't, killing is whatever, but it's interesting that even in the group you're kind of like, Jesse at this point is just surviving. Like, to him it's nothing.
This has just been his life for so long that this is what's working. Yeah. Why change it? Yeah. I feel no need to do anything else.
And Diamondback's totally fine. Just super into Jesse. Like, they actually have a weird, just two super.
Yeah, they're the mom
super couple. Yeah. It's just neat. I don't know. It's nice. They don't really fight. They're always bitching at each other, but totally still chill.
But in like a clear, they've been a family for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
It's a nice little. It's nice. It's like you don't see it very often.
They didn't bring in the whole like, because May is into Caleb. They didn't do the whole what a usual shitty movie would do. In that Bill Paxton has had a thing for May for a long time and is now jealous of the fact that his advances are being rebuffed for Caleb instead, you know what I mean?
Right.
Caleb, he's like got a chip on his shoulder because Caleb took his girl. There's none of that. No. I think it's more just like, that's my little sister kind of, and they don't like, aside from
there's a little bit
Jesse and Diamondback, like there's
a little bit with Homer. The Homer is like weirdly like, it's only mentioned once, but there's like a bit where he's like super into like, well, I'll just take your sister because you took fucking May. There's like a weird. They don't go into it. It seems to imply that May's the youngest one.
Yes.
Not literal, but she's like the most recent addition.
Yes.
So
she's like as far as years go, the youngest one.
It's one of those things where you watch it and there's like details where you're like, it feels like the people making it like
Homer was trying to warm her up to be
something. Yeah. Maybe my mom or something. You know, like that was his person. Homer's weird.
Yeah, he's the... Well, I mean, wouldn't you be, too? If you're just trapped in a child's body for hundreds of years? That would suck so hard. I feel for him a little bit.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so things pop off when Caleb's family kind of come in, which, by the way, what happened in the dad's life that he is so, like, I need to find my son! To the point that I'll drag my fucking daughter around.
Dude, what?
It's so weird.
Your son disappeared. I don't think it's weird at all. Well, your son disappears.
Your adult son.
You just watched him get fucking shoved into an RV?
Sure. I'm not taking my daughter with me.
I don't know, she might not have any place else to go. She was invested in it too.
She's also like, when she gets grabbed by the vampire, it's like she was out alone and like fighting alone.
Yeah, that part is stupid.
But that's kind of where it pops off, and Caleb doesn't want his family getting killed, so he escapes with them. And we get like,
his dad gives Caleb a blood transfusion in his barn.
Yeah, to get rid of the bad blood.
And then he's cured of vampirism,
which I'm okay with in theory. I like the idea that it's like,
I mean, it's fine.
It's the bad blood in you.
This is already...
It's too convenient that the dad can just do that.
It has the capability of a fucking full blood transfusion.
Yeah.
On a slab. He didn't even take his pants off. He's still wearing his jeans. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
his boots.
Well, those are his transfusion boots.
Yeah, they don't come off. Yeah, these are his transfusion boots, which is like his field running hat. And his truck driving hat. And
just a running gag we had. Anytime a hat was involved, we were like, oh, this is my pickup line hat.
Yeah. This is mine. I gotta take off my truck driving hat, put on my confidence hat, talking to girls. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's when it kind of pops off, and the family kind of descends on them, taking the daughter again.
Yeah, abducts the daughter, and then
this.
Yeah, you think, which May I don't think was in on.
No, it doesn't seem like.
I think she was used as bait, as like a misdirect.
Yeah, to get him out of the house.
Yes, so that they could abduct the girl again.
And then it kind of just devolves into mostly just a showdown with. It's almost more just a showdown with fucking Bill Paxton.
Yeah,
because that's the only one that's like a real fight necessarily.
Yeah, the rest of them is just an escape that turns into vampires exploding.
It's an escape, and then Homer dies because he jumps out of the car to try and grab them. Yeah, and just like blows it up in the middle of the street.
At this point like really committed to he wants that little girl because I think he's been like, no, this will work actually. And then the little girl gets rescued out of the because May grabs his sister, jumps out. Homer follows and just fucking explodes in the sun. Yeah, and then Jesse and Diamondback circle around, but it's a fresh stolen car. And they're running out of material to block the windows.
Yeah, out. And the whole like abduction took too long, and it's like
it's
early morning,
full blown daylight. Yeah,
and they just kind of like toast and blow up,
explode. Yeah,
which I said when we watched it, I'm like, that's one of the things I'm like, I wish they got away. Yeah, it'd be rad if it was like you got away with it, but like.
If they kind of like just cut their losses, like fuck this, dude.
It's like at that point, but then they just blow up, and it's like, all right, it's fine.
That's also good too.
And then they all go home and they give May a blood transfusion. Yes, which is much more egregious than Caleb getting it
because I guess she just has the same blood type. That or this. Where's his dad getting all this fucking blood of various types? It's a whole nother thing we need to answer.
Right. And then you had the big point out,
I got a real big problem with the last shot of the movie, man, because they made a point earlier. She was sitting outside the motel, and they were just kind of hanging out, and she remarks about how she doesn't really miss the sun. She doesn't even really remember what it looks like or anything, and blah, blah, blah. Common vampire problem, I'm sure. So, the movie ends, the last shot of the movie, she sits up from the transfusion table in a barn, and the door is open, letting artificial, clearly for the movie shoot, but what is supposed to be sunlight in, and it's on her, and she's totally fine, and they kind of hug, freeze frame, credits. And I was like, are they seriously not going to show the super easy shot of them in silhouette in front of the rising sun, and just her relieved, joyous face of the sunlight hitting her face for the first time in hundreds of years, or probably not that long, but for the first time in forever.
Yeah, it's like 4 years though, they mentioned.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, she's super
bitch ass then. She ain't even. Once you hit a century, that's when you start getting respect as a vampire, I feel like.
Well, that's like in the interview, that fucking scene where Louis finally goes to a movie theater and watches the sunrise. And
and he's just like, oh, thank God.
Thank God.
But, it just seemed to me like a super easy, more powerful ending shot than just, like, them hugging in a dimly lit barn. It just seemed odd.
Yeah, it's weird. That movie's definitely... It's got weird fucking things. It got pacing things. Like, it just kind of starts wrapping up real quick.
Yeah, it's clear that
I feel it's where...
just kind of like... Well, because there's not
much to it.
There's not a story, really.
No, not really.
It's just... Which is fine with me. I don't care. I like movies that are just, like, situations that unfold. Yeah. And just snowball and ramp up.
Because, like, at the end of the day, why do you need fucking weird, like...
Yeah,
off boxes.
I don't need there to be, like... He doesn't need a quest. He's not on a quest. He's like... I guess I'm a vampire now, and then he finds his family again. He's like, actually, if I have the option, I don't particularly want to be a vampire anymore. If that's okay.
It just feels like it's this weird, like, it's like a story started to develop, and then that's when they were like, all right, wrap it up.
Yeah, we got shit to do.
Man, lunch transfuses his blood, I guess.
Nah, who cares?
But that movie gets by on a lot of, like, the style. It's very unique to me, and, like, the way it handles them.
Yeah, it's very well shot. I like it a lot.
It's actually...
Dude, score by Tangerine Dream. Get the fuck out. Very good. Well done. Here's a question that I have. Do the vampires know that a blood transfusion will cure them?
I don't know. She seems surprised.
Because if they do know, then they're legit monsters.
Yeah. Because if it's that fixable... Yeah. It's like, you like this. Well, that's the thing, is you're immortal, though.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's kind of that...
Yeah. No, it's... It's an interesting question.
I thought so.
Like, what do you do for immortality? You know, that's the thing.
Yeah, well, also, you don't have to be doing what they're doing for immortality. Yeah. Like, they're clearly shitheads.
No, they're bad people. Well, I mean, you know, when one of them was a fucking Confederate soldier...
Yeah.
Who seemingly has just cobbled these fucking people together. Yeah. This would be a fun movie to get, like... You know, I hate prequels, but it'd be a fun movie to get, like... Do one of those like we used to, where there was like an animated anthology companion piece.
Right.
Just
do the fucking Animatrix.
Yeah. Do Jesse getting it on the battlefield? Show him picking up Diamondback.
Yeah.
How do you get Severum? What the fuck happened with Homer? You thought that was a good idea?
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's a thing too. Is like, okay, maybe that's how vampire broods get started. Is Jesse is the first.
Right.
And then it's the people he turned hang out with him. Or the people that got turned by people he turned come to him for, like, guidance, because he's, like, the lead one. But that's why these vampires are shitheads. Yeah. Is because Jesse's a shithead.
Right, yeah.
So they're all like, oh, this is just how vampires go. It's like, no, this is how this vampire
It'd be interesting to see, like, how they fit into a larger framework. Are there more? Like,
I would say there is.
What's the world look like? What does the actual vampire population look like?
Well, because here's the deal. It's kind of like a Walking Dead situation where nobody knows what the fuck vampires even are.
Right? Yeah, they're all confused
because it's the dad where it really set in. Like it wasn't that big of a deal. They don't really have that much exposure to the non-vampire population, but it was the dad finding out about it that really set in, because okay, he just shot this guy and he just barfed the bullet up and put it in his shirt pocket. You know what I mean? He watched them all be super sensitive and burn, and his son is burning in sunlight.
Right.
They're not dying. It just seems clear to me that I'm like, am I dealing with these motherfucking vampires?
It's one of the best lines in fucking Dusk Till Dawn, when after the first attack, George Clooney's drinking and loading bullets, and he's just he's like, listen, I don't fucking believe in vampires. I only believe what I see with my two fucking eyes, and what I fucking saw were fucking vampires. So I'm not gonna hear any of this. I don't believe in vampires bullshit. And it's so great that a little scene where they're just we're all on the same page, right? We're dealing with vampires.
These are vampires. Let's just jump over that hurdle right now.
You're right. No, yeah, it's weird. It's weird to see a vampire movie do that, because I can't think of any other instance where vampires aren't at least a thing in pop culture. I can't think of one.
They're just so ancient.
That's usually a zombie thing.
Yes. Usually people don't even know what the fuck. Dead rising from the grave. That's an idea that's never even been approached by anything before.
Yeah.
Save the Bible or whatever, And sometimes they don't even bring up the Bible. It's kind of a cheap ploy for a zombie movie, but to bring up the Bible. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about. Yeah, it was odd to me, because the idea of vampires is so fucking ubiquitous that it's hard to wrap your head around a universe or a timeline that the concept alone is foreign and unheard of.
Yeah.
Like the movie Dracula never happened.
Yeah.
In this world. The
book never happened.
Yeah, the book never happened. There's no Blade, God forbid, in this universe.
Yeah.
What a sad place.
And anything that like real life events that we blame on vampires either didn't play out,
it's just weird shit that didn't get the connection made.
It's weird. It's always weird when it happens.
Yeah. But luckily, the movie, thank God it doesn't try to, explain it or anything. It's just kind of
the dad just is what the fuck is happening?
It's almost better, it's better that way, because you don't get that, once Caleb is really coming into his own as far as, not just being sick, and he's actually a vampire now.
Yeah.
He's not just am I a vampire? Looking at his hands,
shit.
Yeah. It never comes up like that. It's always just
spoken minutes after getting bit.
Yeah.
He's already dealing with it. So it's kind of...
That was strange too to me, because usually you have that when in regular vampire movies or shows or whatever, you get bit and then you have a full day of being mortally sick. Right. And then you die and you wake back up, you're a vampire, you've been turned.
You done turned.
You done be turned, boy. And then you can start killing super cool truckers just trying to teach you how to drive a truck. I feel bad for that guy. He was cool.
Yeah, that was...
I feel more bad for that old guy who just saw a kid laying next to a bike, and then he was just like, "You okay, kid?" Dead. Fed on.
Oh, man. Not again. God damn. I keep hitting these kids. Oh, fuck. No, yeah, I super dig that movie. It's definitely one of those ones where we're rewatching it for the first time in, like, 10 years. I'm like, yeah, you aged. There's some parts of you that are, like, rough.
I mean, not as much though.
Not as much. Not compared to other stuff.
Yeah, like it's better than John Carpenter's vampires. You know?
Right. Yeah.
There's no Bon Jovi in it.
Unfortunately.
I mean, I don't know if it would have made it better. I'm fine with not finding out.
The whole band was in the movie.
Oh no. They're just it just cuts the music video for Runaway.
Yes.
She's a little runaway.
Oh man, yeah, no, it's a solid movie. I always like it as like a pantheon of vampire movies, just because it's such a dirty, shitty little like.
It's an offshoot.
Yeah,
you know,
nobody's fancy. They're not like bestial like you might get in 30 Days a Night.
Right.
They're definitely not fucking aristocratic. They're just kind of like dirty. White trash shitballs.
As far as bestial vampires go, my personal vampire lore always went like the longer you go without feeding, the more bestial you are.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Because you're just more savage. You just need to feed more than you are keeping yourself together and being collected about it. I would also like to think that if there's more, like what's a good example of like a good sophisticated vampire? You know, like the old guys from Blade.
Sure.
You know, they know about vampires like Jesse, and they're just looked down upon.
Sure, yeah.
Because they're like,
what the fuck's that?
The fucking these skis balls, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Which is, that'd be interesting.
Fucking
too.
feral animals, essentially.
Jesse never said, it's assumed that he's just been turned.
Right.
You know, but he never says, he just says that he fought in the Civil War, which means he's even older than that.
Theoretically, yeah.
Because he was of fighting age in the Civil War.
Yeah.
So he could have been, you know, a fucking Puritan, like a pilgrim or something, you know? Or a natural-born vampire, and he's just like, I don't know, what would make you think I'm old? Yeah, I was in the Civil War.
It's fun. It's one of those. It's nice. It's a good example of like details left out for this.
Yeah, nice and ambiguous. It doesn't matter for the plot.
It doesn't matter
for what little plot there is. It doesn't.
That's like you picked up on. They call Homer old man a lot.
Yeah.
Even though he's like a little boy, and it's like, is it derogatory or is it like, is Homer older than you guys?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too. Is probably after a certain point, it doesn't even fucking matter anymore.
Yeah.
Somebody might bring it up. And be like, hey, remember, I'm older than you. But it's like, you need to shut the fuck up. You're a little boy still. You know what I mean? You could be 3,000 years old unless you have crafty Home Alone traps. I can still take you pretty easily.
Still put you down. Not too hard.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Because a little kid with super strength is like, still a little kid. You could probably get creative and come out on top.
On gravity.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like that movie a lot.
It's a very good movie. I was pleased to watch it. I'd never seen it before, and now I've seen it. My life is better for it.
Oh, of course. Well, it's always nice to see a Lance Henriksen movie you just haven't ingested yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, I mean, we both love vampires.
Yes.
I think vampires are much more interesting than cannibals. No, well...
There's similarities to
I think they have better narrative potential than cannibals.
I'm not even going to pick...
They're 100% more interested in animal attacks.
Yeah.
I like deep diving into vampires more so.
There's more shit to be had, for sure. Animal attacks are definitely fun, but there's more meat on this bone.
Yeah. Man, speaking of animal attacks, I won't go into it too much. I found out about this fucking rad... fucking what is it called? It's some bear, some like crawly, like weird bear in India. It's like a bear they have that's like only eats like vegetables, but because it's the predators it deals with are tigers, they're extremely aggressive for being herbivores.
Cool.
And it's just the story of this hunter dealing with one, and I was like, fucking wish I knew about you before.
Yeah, where are you
a great story.
Sure.
I'll have to link you it.
Yeah, totally.
You know, vampires are just rad as hell. I think vampires are super tight, almost in any form.
Yeah. Well, it's cool that there's certain standards, you know, but you can play fast and loose with like how vampires operate in any given fictional scenario, you know. Mm-hmm. Like in Ganja and Hess, they don't give a fuck about sunlight. Totally fine.
Sure. Not
even brought up. Not even mentioned at all. Just totally fine out in the fucking sunlight. Sure. You know? You know, you can have special daywalkers, you know, as far as sunlight goes. Do they need to feed? Do they need to, do they have super strength?
Right. I was like Dracula's weird limitation where his coffin needed to have dirt from his homeland. Like he had to sleep in his own dirt, which I was like, that's fucking rad. I like weird weaknesses too.
Yes, that is awesome. And they have weird. I liked because in the first one I mentioned, Only Lovers Left Alive, they have like, it's come up in other vampire shits too, where like their powers differ from vampire to vampire. Yeah. You know, some of them are a little more charismatic. Some of them are a little stronger. Mm-hmm. Some of them are fast. Some of them aren't fast. Some of them.
That's a big Anne Rice contribution. The idea that they kind of develop as they go.
Right.
And each one kind of has its own
in different ways. Mm-hmm. I know it's right on the tip of my brain, man. Is one of them that had different powers, which is interesting.
Yeah. Just the idea of like the dark. They call it the dark gift in all the Anne Rice stuff.
Right.
It's like, well, the dark gift affects you differently. I know, like Lestat's whole thing was seduction. Like he could just win you over easily.
Yeah. I like it. I'm not sure which I like more, whether it's like the legit hypnosis almost, or whether it's just learned charisma over centuries.
Yeah.
I mean, and probably 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, you know.
No, Dracula's all big in hypnosis.
Dracula has legit hypnosis.
That's one of the fucking clutchest parts in that movie is when he's like hypnotizing her for a while, or he's not ready for her to like witness him, and then like he refuses to hypnotize Mina.
Right.
He's just like, all right, now you can see me. That's the only time he actually like hypnotizes her, so she can't perceive him for a while until he's like got the confidence. Like he's like, all right, I'm dressed nice enough.
Yeah, exactly.
He's ready to start.
He's actually trying to be like,
he's trying to win her over.
Yeah,
it's great. Him on those little dates with her where he's like a foreign prince are so fucking cute. I'm just like, Gary Oldman, come on.
He's legit trying to impress her, you know.
It's a sad movie. That movie's fucking rad as shit.
Movie. Dracula's a sad story.
Yeah.
I never read the book. I should. I have this, like, a big, thick tome that on one side is Dracula, and you flip it over, it's Frankenstein.
Hell yeah. It's a good set.
I read Frankenstein, because it's, out of the two, is my favorite. Mm. As far as, like, story and creature and shit goes. I like Frankenstein. The modern Prometheus.
The modern Prometheus.
Yeah, vampires are fucking dope, dude.
Yeah, now I'm super into vampires.
Like vampires. They're cooler than werewolves. However, I'll take being a werewolf too.
Man, that's
the age-old battle, right?
Which one?
Vampires v werewolves.
I think vampires are probably cooler, but I love werewolves.
I am not gonna pick a favorite.
Yeah.
Usually, I pick werewolves just because I like Hulk-style things. You become a beast. You know. Is always fun for me, especially Van Helsing werewolves. They're just like Hulks with fur.
Yeah, they're just like hot paintings of.
I love it. It's so cool. Yeah. But let's see. And that's the thing too. Werewolves is something where you're like, there's a million different versions of them. The idea is so ancient. The powers are always different. The forms they take are different. Mm-hmm. You know.
I'll have to do a werewolf episode one of these days.
I'm sure we will. Yeah. It's a matter of time. We got to space it out, though. You can't go right into werewolves and vampires. We're not fucking... Ugh, I can't even think of something. It's kind of late.
Yeah.
I can't even think of something to say.
But yeah, that's a good time to wrap it though. We discussed a bunch of stuff. Vampires are definitely quote rad as hell.
Vampires are rad as hell. Put that on a fucking business card.
And again, take all of our recommendations to note. They're all very interesting movies, or at the very least, interesting movies.
Yes, this was a good one. Everybody had really good ones.
Oh yeah.
This every movie I watched was pretty fucking enjoyable. Nothing was a slog to get through.
Definitely.
I enjoyed it thoroughly.
The next topic I was considering.
Do you have one?
I do have the next topic. It was going to be something else, but it was going to be, I will say it, Bigfoot, but I found out about a movie that I was like, we all gotta watch that. It sounds super rad. So instead, it's an esoteric topic.
Oh Lord.
Kinda.
Cool.
I want to do found footage.
Just any found footage?
We'll watch a couple dumb found footage movies, and we'll come up with some fun, like, real-life examples where somebody did find weird fucking tapes. We'll try and dig some of those up. I know a couple fun examples.
Oh, that might be hard to do.
And the movie we'll be watching, so if anybody wants to watch along, will be the Poughkeepsie tapes. Which
you lucky motherfucker, I almost watched it the other day.
I've been holding off because I was like, it sounds rad, and I think found footage is an interesting topic.
Sure. Yeah, I almost watched the Poughkeepsie tapes.
Because it's on Prime.
A week ago. Yeah, it just came up on Prime, so.
So that's what we'll be doing.
So I can hold the theme. Okay, I'll just hold off. That's fine. There are so many. Okay, that'll work. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm. I figured that's a nice one because we can get a little mix of like.
There's all types of shit going on.
Monster shit, more real stuff, and then like when we get to the real life stuff, it'll be like probably dark. But,
way dark.
But yeah, so we'll be doing found footage. Watch Poughkeepsie tapes so you can keep up with us.
Yeah. If you got it, get at us on social media if you got any recommendations for any of these topics.
Yep. You can find me easily on. I think I corrected it. Yeah, it's at Matt as himself at Twitter.
Branding, bro.
It was for some reason it auto made me one, and it was at himself as, and I was like, what is this?
What?
I had to fucking dig through to fix it.
Fucking robots,
it's
man.
Silly. Like, what are you doing? The algorithm doesn't know what's going on.
They don't know how words work. Fucking robots. They don't need them.
They're never gonna take over the world. They're stupid.
I don't say that. I think that you guys are great. We're talking into a robot right now. He can hear you.
But yeah, so that's us on vampires.
That's it.
This is Matt.
This one sucked.
Oh. It's you.
It's me, dude. I made that joke.
It's me.
I made that joke.
Now you gotta sleep in that.
Now I do. I'm going to really easily, actually. I'm gonna go home chuckling about it. I'm gonna tell my wife, and she's gonna
wake her up, go shove it.
You fucking
don't build it up. Just be like, shake her and be like, it sucked.
It sucked. Really loud.
What?
The show.
Hold
Vampires.
on.
Like my kids up there.